Thursday afternoon. How are you? It's game day on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Sports1440.ca. Of course, the app. As always, the entire show is presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Of course, Oilers on the road tonight to take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's also the Daily Grand, your chance to win $1,000 a day for the next 20 years. Now, you could take a one lump sum, but for me, I think I would err just on I just want that grand a day. It's just going to put you in a good mood automatically every day. I don't care. You wake up, whatever. Dog goes to the toilet on the floor. It doesn't matter. You just made a grand. So I think it would be good. I would take it for sure. So hope you are having a wonderful Thursday. Beautiful weather again today. And there is lots and lots to discuss. The Edmonton Oilers, there is not a team in the NHL that the Oilers have dominated more than the Pittsburgh Penguins recently. It has been men versus boys in their last 7 games. And it's not like, you know what, they had 2 games that were blowouts. Every game's a blowout. The Oilers have outscored the Penguins 37-9. Over a 7-game stretch where the Oilers have won every game. 37-9. Do the math. That's basically you're winning every game by an average of 4-1. Like it's almost comical, really. And even 4-1 is somewhat flattering when you look at the scores. The last 2 scores, 4-0, 4-0. In fact, the Oilers were leading 6-0 in the game prior before Evgeny Malkin scored a goal with 7.5 minutes left. Otherwise, it'd be 3 straight shutouts. And the games haven't been close. 6-1, 4-0, 4-0. Well, there was a 5-2 game. There was a 6-3 game. That was like a real competitive one for the Pens, 7-2. The Penguins have scored 9 goals in 7 games. Zach Hyman has 9 points. So he has been in on 9 goals. The Penguins have scored 9. Draisaitl has 11 points. McDavid has 17. He's almost outscored them single-handed. Well, almost twice as many points as they have goals in the last 7 games. It has been an ass kicking by the Edmonton Oilers. And there's really no reason to expect it not to continue. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win 4-0, but look at the Penguins coming into this game. You know who's given up the most goals in the NHL 5-on-5? Hello, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who's given up the second most shots in the NHL 5-on-5? Hello, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who has the most shots in the NHL 5-on-5? Hands up, Edmonton Oilers. And the Oilers are up to 8th after struggling early because they couldn't score early in the season. They're now all the way up to 8th most goals 5-on-5. Like, tell me a worse matchup if you're the Penguins. And you see Connor McDavid's interview this morning, man. I get up for this game. It was exciting to play against Sid. Well, he has outscored Sidney Crosby since McDavid came in the league. They've played 14 times head to head. McDavid has 27 points. Crosby has 7. Like, it's not close. The Pittsburgh Penguins cannot match the speed and the skill of the Edmonton Oilers right now. They just can't. So when you look at Edmonton, and I know people, oh, well, Gregor, it's a bad team. No, the Edmonton Oilers are 18-5 against non-playoff teams this year. Only Vegas in the entire NHL has more wins. They're 19-2-1. That's it. No one else. So don't repeat it. And if you hear one of your buddies who's an Oilers fan, oh, well, geez, they play down to the level of their competition. No, they don't. They've been really good for the last few years. They've been crushing the bad teams. And this year, second most wins, 18-5. You look at the other teams. Now, lots of the West teams are good. As I mentioned, Vegas is 19-2-1. Dallas, 17-5. Winnipeg and Colorado are both 17-5-1. Minnesota's 15-3-3. LA, 14-4-4. And this is the number one stat. If you want to look at why the Vancouver Canucks are battling for a wild card spot, the final wild card spot, and not in the run for a home ice advantage in the Pacific, they are 12-7-7 versus non-playoff teams. They've played the most games of the West 8 playoff teams against the non-playoff teams, and they're 12-7-7. So they've only won 12 out of 26. Their points percentage, because they're getting the Bettman point, but their win percentage is brutal, having won less than half their games. And that's really the difference. Because if you look at all those teams against playoff teams, you know what? The best record against the other playoff teams is Winnipeg at 11-7-1. Vegas has won half their games, 9-7-2. LA's 9-6-1. Dallas is 8-8-1. Colorado's actually 8-11. The Oilers are 7-7-3, and that's mainly because of their sluggish October when they were 0-3-1. Since they're 7-4-2, which is pretty good. Like, you don't really dominate the playoff teams. No one really does, because they're good. And Vancouver has played the fewest games against playoff teams. They're 6-5-3. So they've played 26 games against non-playoff teams so far, the Canucks, and 14 against playoff teams. They got a tough sked coming up. So, the Oilers, now you're always going to play fewer games because there's 15 playoff teams. If you're a playoff team, right? You play 15 opponents. So if you're one of the playoff teams, you're obviously playing more games against non-playoff teams. I get it. But the Oilers, this is a game tonight. I'd be very confident in them winning. It's a matchup. And the other thing is, the Oilers are playing great. They've won 4 in a row. How about this? They've scored first in 7 straight games. They've actually scored first in 11 of their last 14 games. They only scored first in 11 of their first 26. So they've come out of the gate a lot better, the Edmonton Oilers. And here's some other stats. For Oilers fans, you watch the games. The Edmonton Oilers, league high, 25 times they have had the lead after 40 minutes. 25. The next closest is 21 with New Jersey and Winnipeg. So the Oilers have had leads after 40 minutes, fairly comfortable. Now they're 22-3. Or is it 23-2? Let me double check that. They are 2-3. So they're tied for the most wins with both Winnipeg and New Jersey. But they've had leads. The Penguins are 31st in leads after 40 minutes. They only have 11. And the Oilers, when they score first, they're pretty good. Not a surprise. But what's interesting is the Oilers, I went through the stats today, and teams who don't score first, right? Very few of them have an overall winning record. But the best 14 records are all playoff teams. But teams who score first have the best records. They're not all playoff teams. Did you know that Columbus, Buffalo, the Chicago Blackhawks have scored first more than any other team in the NHL this year? 25 times. But they're brutal. They can't hold the lead. But they come out. They're ready. Or I don't know if other teams just take them lightly. I have no idea. But 25 times. Now, the Oilers have scored 22. They're pretty decent. They're tied for 8th in scoring first. But the Oilers are one of the better teams, 5th in the NHL when they allow the first goal to come back in their points percentage when they win. So there you go. Coming up on the show, we're going to switch things around a little bit. We got I love it. I love it when you got to call an audible sometimes in football and hockey, and we'll do that right now. Matt Wenzel is going to join us as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, and the showdown is on. McDavid versus Matt. There's a whole new menu at McDonald's. You can get the Big Mac, David. It's a double Big Mac, 4 patties. You can also get the power play, the triple cheeseburger. Oh, unreal. They got a new special Sunday. They've got the McPappy quarter pounder in honor of Austin Matthews. So check it out. The new showdown menu only at McDonald's. Is Matt Wenzel from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette joins us. And Matt, I can't think there's a team in the NHL over the last 4 years that Pittsburgh has struggled more than the Oilers. They're 0-7. They've been outscored 37-9. Now, hey, McDavid and Draisaitl are pretty good. I get it. But no team struggles more against the Oilers than the Penguins. How come?
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, including the last 2 games in Edmonton have been real clunkers for the Penguins. But the biggest thing for me comes down to what the Oilers are able to do on the rush. The Penguins are among the league's worst teams at rush chances against and goals against. puck management comes into play. And the Oilers are really fast and really good at that. And it's not just McDavid, but, that's something that we saw in, the most recent meetings where the Oilers just were running and gunning, and it felt like every 2 seconds they had a 2-on-1 rush and they were converting. So that's the big thing for me. And then, in the last game, the Pens, they have 14 shots maybe.
Yeah.
So you put it all together, and it really was a dominant game. And just like last year before the trade deadline in Edmonton as well. So, if I remember correctly, the rivalry was kind of like flipped when McDavid first came into the league.
Yep.
But, it's all been him over the last, 4 or 5 years. Not just him, but the Oilers.
Yeah, it's been remarkable. Like the game in Edmonton, it was the Hall of Fame night for Randy Gregg and Craig McTavish. And Stuart Skinner could have been in a rocking chair for much of that game. He didn't get challenged very much. And now Picker did have a 40-save shutout in the previous game. But, the game before that, it was 6-0 before Evgeny Malkin scored with 7 minutes left in the game. Like it's been odd. And what's even more odd is that Sidney Crosby, in the 14 meetings head-to-head against the Oilers, he only has 7 points against McDavid.
Yeah, and some of that comes down to, Mike Sullivan, right or wrong, he really likes to play Sidney Crosby against other top players. And, we've seen plenty of times over the years, that's a matchup Sid often wins. But, asking him to be the offensive engine of the team and try to shut down McDavid or Draisaitl. And I know there's only so much you can do with matchups, especially on the road. But, that's a factor as well. Sid is probably spending a lot of time in his own end just because of what he's up against from the defensive standpoint against those guys.
So if you look at that tonight, then are you expecting the same? Will they try to go Crosby versus McDavid?
Yeah, and it looks like the Pens are going to be out without Evgeny Malkin as well. So maybe that ends up being an okay thing defensively. He's really struggled offensively and hasn't really brought much to the table in that regard, and he's not exactly known for his defense. But in the previous game, they had Cody Glass centering the second line with Michael Bunting and Anthony Beauvillier, and those guys were actually pretty stingy defensively. Glass has been a good addition for the Penguins, but let's just say McDavid and the Oilers are a different animal than the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, the Pens, with Malkin out in particular, they don't really have a lot of scoring down the lineup. It's basically all their offense is the top line and their red hot power play. So, it's going to be even more on the plate of Sidney Crosby tonight.
Yeah. Well, what's the status of Malkin?
He's day-to-day. Mike Sullivan called him a game-time decision, which oftentimes means the player will play, but Malkin was on the ice for an hour at the morning skate and skating pretty hard too. So that's a pretty good indicator that he's not going to play. You never know what the kind of cloud he has in the organization is, a longtime star. Maybe he shows up at the rink today and they conclude that he can play. But based on what we saw at the morning skate, it looks like he's going to be out this game, and we'll see if he's back in the lineup for the Penguins this weekend.
Looking at the Pens overall, 5-on-5, you mentioned it's been a struggle. They've allowed the most goals in the NHL 5-on-5. They've allowed the second most shots 5-on-5. You score. Is it mainly off of the rush? Are they getting killed elsewhere on the cycle? What's led to so many goals against and really so many chances and shots against 5-on-5?
Yeah, a lot of it's been against the rush. It's kind of been a tale of two seasons for the Penguins. They were really bad. They were arguably the league's worst defensive team up until around Thanksgiving. And all the talk around here was like, all right, are they going to start trading guys now? And they flipped the switch. They had a little 4-game winning streak, and they've been playing much better defensively. I don't even know if you would still say that they've been league average over that span, but they've done a better job of their puck management, not allowing chances right after turnovers and odd man rushes. But they still allow a lot of chances, and they haven't really got great goaltending either. So, even since that little 4-game winning streak, they're only 6-5-4, but they're finding a way to get 1 point here and there, and the rest of the East is struggling. So they've somehow managed to pull themselves into a playoff spot, even though they haven't really been particularly great themselves.
Yeah. They're in the race because it's more of a jog right now for those final two spots, both wildcard spots, because I think Tampa Bay just because they've played 5 fewer games than Boston. I have them as a top 6 team, and then the Bruins become a wild card team, and they're going the wrong way. You've got Columbus, I think, surprising a lot of people. We'll see if it can continue. Detroit's had a huge burst since they made the coaching change. Montreal has come alive here all of a sudden post-Christmas. Like, the Penguins are in it, Matt, but do you have faith they could actually get in?
They could. I mean, you mentioned all the sheer number of teams. Like, I'm not a, math expert here, but just the fact that there's so many teams in the mix suggests that a couple of them are going to finish better than them down the stretch. I mean, they're a flawed team. A lot of people wrote them off a couple months ago, and I think rightfully so. They have shown that there is something there. But, I mean, the thing hanging over this team is what is Kyle Dubas going to do at the trade deadline? And no, before you ask, Sidney Crosby isn't getting traded, anything like that. But, pretty much ever since, honestly, since the Pens came to Edmonton last year, right before the trade deadline, they had a tough loss in Calgary, and then the Oilers kicked their butts. From that point forward, Kyle Dubas basically changed the trajectory and his focus to trying to add young players and picks and prospects. And everything he's done over the last year has been pointing in that direction. And he's said on the record, he doesn't want to be a team that just like squeaks into the playoffs. He wants to get back to being like a legitimate contender. So that tells me the Pens aren't going to make, foolish moves to try to get the 8th seed. They want to do something sustainable. So if this team's like on the bubble at the trade deadline, are they going to trade, a UFA like Marcus Pettersson? Will they hold on to him? I'm sure that's a player that will be of interest to the Oilers up there. So that's kind of what's hanging over this team is, they're not only are they trying to stay in the playoff mix, they're trying to convince Kyle Dubas not even to add, but just to keep this group together through the end of the year.
Matt Vensel joins us, a beat reporter for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Nedeljkovic is going to get the start tonight. We've had Kevin Woodley on and talks lots about goaltending, and he said early in the year, Jari stunk, but he said he hadn't seen a worse defensive environment for goaltenders, regardless of who it was. Like, they had like an expected save percentage of .832. Like, their goal, I don't care who it was, Hellebuck would have got lit up there, is basically what he was saying. How's Nedeljkovic played the last few weeks?
Last few weeks, he's been better. Jari really struggled to start the year. And you're right. I mean, Kevin's right. The defense was atrocious. And, they sent Jari to the minor leagues for a couple of weeks. They called it a conditioning stint, but it basically was like, go down there and get your act together. And he did. He played really well in the AHL, and he came back, and he was pretty steady for the better part of, maybe 5-6 weeks there, but he's struggled a little bit. But when he was on that run, they were hardly playing Alex Nedeljkovic. And now that Jari has kind of regressed a little bit, we're seeing Ned get back into the net more. And he hasn't been great either, but he's pretty steady. I mean, he's a guy that is always going to give the Penguins a chance. We've just kind of seen in some of these games, he doesn't come up with that extra save that gets them the win. Maybe it's an overtime loss, but they love him with the Penguins. I mean, he's a scrappy guy. He's like no maintenance. He's competitive. Mike Sullivan will gush about him, but he kind of is what he is kind of like a fringe starter backup goalie guy. If he's overextended beyond that, it's not great for him or for the Penguins, but in the number 2 role, he's been quite good for the Penguins.
Lastly, so looking at Kyle Dubas and their approach, like if the Penguins are one of the 6 teams, let's say, that are, they're within 2 or 3 points of a wild card spot, are they adding, or is Steve still looking realistic and saying, you know what? If we can move a bit piece to just get some other prospects, we'll do it. What do you think his plan is going to be?
That's the $1 million question. I don't know what the answer to that will be. And, I don't even know if Kyle knows at this point. It would probably have to depend on how they were playing at that point in time. I mean, he's going to take it down on the wire. That's what he did last year. He gave this team a chance as long as he could. And then he said, okay, I got to trade Jake Hensel. So, if they add, I mean, we're talking about them. Okay, here's a 4th round pick for, a 3rd line player or whatever it might be, they're not going to do anything significant to add. I think the better question is, what will they do with Marcus Pettersson, really? I mean, they have other guys like Drew O'Connor is a nice player. He's struggled to score this year. I don't know how much interest he'll have. I mean, they have other free agents like that, but Pettersson is the big one, especially after they traded Lars Eller a couple months ago. So the question for me is like, not even are they going to add, or is it just like, is he going to see enough to just not break up the core? And, he's got to consider Sidney Crosby and Mike Sullivan and these guys if they get there. And he says, we don't have it, fellas. We're in the mix, but we're trading Marcus Pettersson. That's kind of a tough sell for the room. But I also think Kyle Dubas has the courage to do it. And you could argue, as an outsider's perspective, that that's the right move, is to not chase the wild card spot, but kind of take the longer look here. I mean, they're not doing a full-on rebuild. It's kind of like a one-year retool with the hopes of being competitive, next year or the year after that. So we'll see. But the Pens got to, they're fading a little bit here, so they got to make sure they're in the mix and make this a conversation here in March.
Matt, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me anytime.
There you go. That's Matt Benzel joining us from Pittsburgh. He's bang on in his assessment. The Oilers have absolutely crushed them off the rush. And it's not just one game. Like, you're going to have a bad game here. They're like the Oilers went into Minnesota this year and spanked the Wild 7-1. That was an outlier for how that series has gone. In fact, it's normally Minnesota. They've been close games, but Minnesota's had more success. This is now coming on 4 years. The core of the Oilers is the same. The Penguins' core is the same. And it's been Oilers butt kicking every game. 5-1, 5-2, 6-3, 7-2, 5-1, 4-0, 4-0. And you look at the shots, the Oilers in the last 6 games have averaged 13 more shots on goal per game than the Penguins. That's pretty big domination by a team. Now, it doesn't guarantee it'll happen tonight, but playalberta.ca, taking the Oilers to win. Yeah, thank you very much. Quick break. Jeff Merrick will join us when we return on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, presented by playalberta.ca.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Men and women of Action Electrical. Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems. Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Start your weekend off right with WHL Hockey and Ice District. Family fun that's second to none, starting at just $20 a seat. Tomorrow night, your Edmonton Oil Kings go toe-to-toe with Eastern Conference rivals, the Prince Albert Raiders. Plus, at every home game, score Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is king-sized. Catch junior hockey at its finest at Rogers Place and score family fun that's second to none. Edmonton Oil Kings, Prince Albert Raiders, tomorrow night at 7. Great family entertainment at Rogers Place starts at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously... The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Spruce Grove Saints. They are back in action, double dip this weekend. Tomorrow night, the rivalry is renewed. Sherwood Park and Spruce Grove, 7 o'clock at the Grand View Arena. And then on Saturday, Vernon comes to town. So you can get your tickets at sgsaints.ca. And good luck. Enjoy. It should be some great games between the Saints, Crusaders, and then Saints and Vernon. To talk all things hockey, host of The Sheet on dailyfaceoff.com. Jeff Merrick joins us as he always does every Thursday. Jeffrey, how you doing?
I very much appreciate, Jason, bringing me into the Sex Pistols. I have not heard that in so many years. I'd forgotten how good it sounded. And the minute we're done, I'm off to Spotify to listen to binge on the Sex Pistols. That was awesome. I remember reading a great quote by Johnny Lydon once explaining what he wanted to do with the Sex Pistols. He said, 2 things: establish the name and cultivate hatred. That was the Sex Pistols. Loved it.
Buddy, that's a great tune, man. That's DJ Connor Halley. He is always he knows the songs to pick, man. He knows the songs. I don't know if you even put in a request, but if you didn't, it's even better. So Con's just he seems to know what people like. So it's fantastic.
Connor's doing the anthropology on that. That was not the request line. That was just sprung out of nowhere. And man, I'll tell you what. I mean, you and I are kind of the same vintage. I had never bought a book to the Sex Pistols album. Man, did I wear that one out on my turntable over and over and over again. Bravo, Connor. Thanks, bud.
I love it. Speaking of over and over again, Jeff, there are times where teams just have the other team's number, right? We've seen it, and the Oilers have been on the receiving end for a while. They could never beat Nashville. Then they could never lose to Nashville. I don't know if I've ever seen a team, though, over this many games, absolutely crush a team to the level the Oilers have owned the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like it's 7-0, 37-9 goals for against. They've outshot them by an average of 13 goals a game in the last 6 games, for goodness sakes. Like, and now Malkin's not playing tonight. Like this seems like the way Edmonton's playing and Pittsburgh's playing. Like McDavid gets up for these games. He said it this morning. Yeah, it's exciting to play against Sid. And it's just like, it's like they almost are like, we just want to destroy these guys. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of it, I mean, you and Frank have talked about it on your podcast. Like, Pittsburgh's a slow team.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, Pittsburgh's a slow team, and when Edmonton turns on the Jets, specifically the fastest skater in the NHL, good luck, everybody. Like, the Oilers, I mean, this better than I do. When the Edmonton Oilers can grind you down, and they can skate you into the ground. And I look at the Oilers just getting faster and faster. And then, earlier on this year, they add Kapanen to get even quicker. And then I look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are at the other side of that speed equation. And you say to yourself, it's probably no surprise. Like, this is just flat out speed kills. I'll tell you what, it's interesting. So tomorrow in Erie, you know what's happening in Erie tomorrow?
Oh, yes, I do. Connor McDavid, jersey retirement.
Yeah, so it's awesome. I mean, I was in Erie a couple of months ago. My kid had a tournament there, and we took the whole team to see the Otters playing the Sarnia Sting. And so, because we wanted all the kids to see Matthew Schaefer and Malcolm Spence. Matthew Schaefer, as you all know, could probably go first overall this year in the draft. All the parents want the kids to watch Matthew Schaefer skate. So go to the Otters games, and I'm talking to the communications director there, and he's telling me all about McDavid night and all this. So here we are. And McDavid's getting his number retired. I told this story on the sheet today. Do you have 2 seconds for a Connor McDavid story?
Yep.
Okay. So I can recall Jeff Jackson back when he was an agent, starting his own agency. He'd been fired from the Toronto Maple Leafs and started up his own player representation agency. It was called Next Level Sports.
Yeah.
Next Level Sports. And his main clients were Ben Harper, the tough, sometimes defenseman, sometimes forward, Sam Gagner, and Connor Brown, who had been already drafted by the Maple Leafs, but I don't believe he had been signed. But anyway, those are Jeff Jackson's big three. And he had been trying desperately to get this kid, Connor McDavid, playing with the Marlies, stack team. Sam Bennett's on the team. Jeremiah Addison's on the team. Jace Lindo, Roland McEwen. Like, it's awesome. I think they only lost one game all year long. It was to Robbie Fabry's Mississauga Rebels in the OHL Cup. And so everyone's trying to get this kid, and Jackson's really working hard, and he's really close to getting the McDavids to sign. And he calls me one day because he'd be like, "Get in your car. We're going to go to Scotia Pond or Chestwood Arena or Hershey Center. I want you to see the future of Hawks, the kid Connor McDavid." And so I'd watched him a bunch with Jeff Jackson, and he calls me one day. He goes, "I'm out." I go, "What?" He goes, "I'm out of Connor McDavid. He had the Bobby Orr breakfast." And I say, "He had the Bobby Orr breakfast? What's that?" Now, imagine this, Jason. Bobby Orr, who, with Orr Group, him and Ricky Curran, Orr Group it's the baller move of all time. Bobby Orr will call up mom and dad and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in the area next week. Do you mind if I pop by to say hello and talk about your son and talk about old hockey stories?" So Bobby's big move is he'll show up for breakfast, cup of coffee around the kitchen table. Dad and mom bring out the memorabilia. Bobby will sign everything. It's pictures with, the Hall of Famer and the kid and all that. And then the conversation turns to, "Now let me tell you what Bobby Orr Group can do for your son."
Yeah.
How, Jason Gregor, are you going to look across the kitchen table at Bobby Orr, a pot of coffee and breakfast for everybody, and say, "Yeah, we're not going to sign with Orr Group"? It was sort of it was notorious for a while in agent circles, the Bobby Orr breakfast. I didn't know about it, so Jeff Jackson told me, "Yeah, Connor's out. He's just had the Bobby Orr breakfast. They're going to go with Orr Group." And then there's a great picture floating around the internet. Maybe you've seen it. It's a 15-year-old Connor McDavid, who, when the it might have been the first Pittsburgh home game of the season. McDavid is playing with the Erie Otters. It's a great picture of Connor McDavid standing with Sidney Crosby and Mario Lemieux. We always talk about Mount Rushmores and who belongs on it. Well, there's three of them. You can find it on Google Images. There's the three of them. 15-year-old would have gone with Hayden Hodgson and Stephen Harper, his teammates with Erie. A young 15-year-old Connor McDavid in Erie Otters jacket, standing next to two surefire Hall of Famers, and he'll make the third. Anyway, going to be a great day for Connor tonight, and it'll be a huge day for the Erie Otters and Connor McDavid tomorrow. I apologize for the long-winded story.
No, well, you look at, and hey, Jeff Jackson wasn't out. He ended up getting Connor McDavid.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happened? So Darren Ferris was the Ontario agent for Orr Group. He ends up leaving, and Ricky Curran, who would have been Jeff Jackson's agent when he played, ends up hiring Jeff Jackson. So he ends up getting Connor McDavid and Aaron Ekblad as well for a little bit of spice at the end of all of it. Talk about falling upwards, eh?
Yeah. No, hey, it's never a bad thing at all. And now he's the president of the Edmonton Oilers, and I've been saying for 2 years that Connor McDavid's going to sign and re-sign in Edmonton, and every arrow keeps pointing there. Now his wife's just opening an establishment. She's got real roots in the business community here. Like, it's the most easy foregone conclusion for me, I will say, on January 9th is that Connor McDavid signs a contract extension sometime in the summer. I don't know when. I don't stress about it. Oiler fans, I get why they'd be nervous, but Connor McDavid will be re-signing in Edmonton. Mark it down. Looking around the NHL, Jeff, and we're basically 2 months to the day for the NHL trade deadline, and there's 7 really good teams with over 50 points in the West, and Vancouver right now they're kind of plodding along mainly because they can't beat non-playoff teams. It's unreal. They've only won 12 of 26 games against non-playoff teams, and I look at them, so they put themselves in probably a tougher spot. But in the East, there's 6 teams, and then it is wide open. Boston, Montreal, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Columbus. The Rangers are still in the mix. Boston will be in there. When you look at the East, do you see one of those teams being willing to make a significant move before the deadline?
I think the Boston Bruins will try. I do still wonder, I had Don Waddell on the program yesterday, and, Columbus is fascinating. Columbus is we're all cheering for them emotionally, I think, given the season that they had and how the season started. I think people want good things to happen to Columbus sooner than later. I don't know that, given this recent success by Columbus, and I know games in hand, Ottawa, etc., but it was nice for Don Waddell to wake up yesterday and see his team in a wild card spot. I don't know if they're going to change course. I think this is still a rebuilding team, and as much as Don Waddell may say, hey, we're still open to signing Ivan Provorov, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Ivan Provorov is probably gone. I can see the Boston Bruins, because I don't think they want, this playoff situation to end for them. Things have gone really awry. I think there'll be a different team when Tampa's Lindholm comes back and enters the mix again. Andrew Raycroft was on Morning Cup of Hockey 2 days ago, just breaking down exactly how much Hampus Lindholm means to this team. But it's funny too, because you look at the teams that you mentioned. I mean, generally we think of all these teams kind of as sellers. I think the Detroit Red Wings are probably looking to add. I'm sure Steve Yzerman and company, they're playing some good hockey under new head coach Todd McClellan. I'm sure they'd like to add and seek themselves in the playoff picture. I think we wonder about the Ottawa Senators, and would the Ottawa Senators look at moving a first overall draft pick to finally get themselves inside of a playoff picture? So I think there's a couple of teams here that'll probably make some swings, but still a lot of hockey and still a lot of separation, I think, still to come. The one thing that I would, if I can switch to the West really quickly, overtime losses will kill you when they start piling up.
Oh yeah.
And that was Vancouver's 10th.
Yeah.
Overtime loss. And if they don't get in, and I still think that Vancouver makes it in, but if they don't, how much are we going to look at these overtime losses and say, those are the points that you squandered. Those are the ones that you needed to pick up.
Well, especially when they've come against non-playoff teams, right? They've lost 7 games in overtime against /shootout against non-playoff teams. That's crushing them.
Yeah, it really is. And I think we're all wondering, the obvious question, not who gets moved, but do both get moved? That report from Elliott going back last Saturday to Hockey Night in Canada. I think we're all waiting on that one, and I don't think it'd be a surprise if both these players end up getting shipped out. Quinn Hughes is probably, because he's talked to both and tried to mend this fence, if it is at all mendable. Rick Tocchet certainly has as well. He seems to have kind of at various times thrown his hands up in the air here. So I think those are the two biggies I think that we're looking at. And then there's always the big surprise that no one sees coming. The team that says, no, we're out, and end up making a big move. So still lots of hockey to play, teams to separate themselves from each other, and we'll see where it goes. We're starting to see the beginnings now of teams getting ready for the playoffs and teams getting ready for trade deadline.
Are you a believer in the Capitals?
Funny question. So it's having that. It's funny. We just closed the show today talking about that, and I'm not saying that they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but is there for you, because there is for me, a 2006 Carolina Hurricanes vibe? No, that's a sore spot around Edmonton. 2006 Carolina Hurricanes vibe around the Washington Capitals. Because Carolina, as you can recall, hey, look, they had a good October. Good for them. That's cute. Hey, look, they had a good November as well. And then you get into December 2006 and 2005 rather, and all of a sudden there's piling up all these wins, and it's becoming obvious that as the calendar flips to 2006, that Carolina's going to the playoffs and everything breaks their way and they end up winning the Stanley Cup. Zero expectations for the Carolina Hurricanes going into that season. Yeah. That was a weird season. Everybody was learning how to play again. Jonathan Chichu wins the Rocket Richard out of nowhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Weird things happened that year. I kind of got the same vibe from Washington. Like every single month that's gone by, Jason, I've said, "Oh, good for them. That's awesome. Oh, plucky team. They're not giving up. There's a lot of grit on that team." Yep. And now I'm turning into, you know what? maybe they're just legit a good team.
No, they are. Yeah, I like them a lot.
I do. And if they can get that Pierre-Luc Dubois that we've seen, like there were a couple of moments. There was like that game, that afternoon game against New Jersey about a month ago with Pierre-Luc Dubois, like beating out an icing to secure the win for Washington. Then there was a Pierre-Luc Dubois last night, snapping in two, mixing it up, going at Quinn Hughes. Like then there's that guy. Like if they're getting that Pierre-Luc Dubois, then I've got even more of a sort of soap and warm water feeling about these Washington Capitals.
Lastly, Jeff, the Edmonton Oilers, you know what, the stats, everything else. Do you think they need to add more grit and toughness to their lineup?
I certainly thought that as soon when Zadorov ran over the netminder the other night, and everyone did statue practice. I think that my instinct is no. What they need is help on the back end with someone moving the puck. And I think, you know, the toughness does get addressed when Evander Kane reemerges here for the Edmonton Oilers. Like I've always kind of like, I'm not sure where you're at right now with toughness in the game and toughness with teams. I've kind of always looked at toughness as being a luxury item because there's not that much of it around.
No, there isn't.
Right? Like go fight. I mean, you hear it every year, you know, GM signing the scouts, go find me a Tom Wilson. Well, those guys aren't getting made, right? Like those, like no one's making Tom Wilson. Like it's all skill, speed. These are the players that are being made. So there aren't those types of guys. And when you have one, you hold on to them because it's one of the rarest birds in the NHL. So I kind of have a weird thing about toughness that it's a luxury item. You have it, you hang on to it, and it's really, really hard to acquire. But mind you, every team loves it when they have it.
Oh God, yeah. No, I think that's why I think Boston, Trent Frederick at the deadline could command a lot.
Oh, with you. And that's why I think Trent. And we're all marrying Trent Frederick to St. Louis next year, right? For the obvious, you know, local boy goes home story. If the Boston Bruins can't resign him. But listen, if you put Trent Frederick on the market, if Boston bows out of this thing and says, okay, it's time for a little bunny hop here, one short step back for two leaps forward, I think there'll be a huge, I'm with you on that, Jason. I think there'd be a huge market for Trent Frederick. I'm with you on that.
Jeff, as always, buddy, great stuff. Enjoy the games tonight.
Do you think how would Trent Frederick feel walking into that Edmonton room?
Buddy, he would love it, and the Oilers would love it. He can play center if you have to, but I think he's much better as a winger. And man, he's got enough. He's a great third line player who, if for games or two, if he has to highlight in your top six all day long.
Yeah, so, I know. I'm with you. I love him. I'm with you, and just snarly tough. And we'll take on. I mean, every time Boston plays Washington, it's like he's begging Tom Wilson for one. Yeah. I don't know many guys that beg Tom Wilson fights.
Yeah,
Trent Frederick always begs Tom Wilson.
No, and he's a gamer, 100%. Yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of those guys in the NHL. There just isn't.
Luxury items. Yeah, they are.
You get one, you ought to keep them. Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, pal. Talk soon.
That is Jeff Merrick from The Sheet on dailyfaceoff.com. Quick break. We'll return. We talk about some massive matchups lately. Some real, the top dogs going head to head. We'll talk about that next. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
A bedtime story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880. or visit silentrides.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the two best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save on Foods.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Get the Slap Shot Special. Add a 2-liter Pepsi product to a large one-topping pizza and garlic Parmesan breadsticks and bundle it for only $25.99. Use promo code HOCKEY24 at papajohns.ca.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
49. Gregor, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. You can always text us in our email inbox, 833-401-1440. Hey, Jason, why would the Oilers take a look at a guy like Michael McCarron? Big center, Bruce and bodies, probably on a cheap deal from Trailer Park Ryan. Well, he's $900K for this year next, and he's the center I've been mentioning for 2 months, who I think would be, if you're looking for a fourth-line center acquisition, because he's got this year and next, I don't think it's going to cost you a whole bunch. He'd be a great fit. But I think they're going to try Noah Philp first, because that costs you nothing, right? You give him 10 to 12 games. It's just a matter of when they're going to do it. I won't be surprised if we see Philp up here when they get to that homestand. And, you ease him in a little bit for those home games, right? Pick up some matchups, whatever you want. But, I want to see Noah Philp, and I think you got to see him probably 10 to 12 games, right? You can get him in here before the Four Nations, and then you can actually send him down again. He can keep playing. It's a big advantage. So it's something I would strongly consider if I was the Edmonton Oilers. Now, it's not very often you get to see, two teams, winners of 11 in a row, 14 in a row, 15 in a row going head-to-head. But that's exactly what we've seen a little bit lately as we get to our basketball report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca. Host of the basketball show, Paul Surratt's on the air this Saturday on Sports 1440. Paul, how you doing, Matt? Who's coming on? Saturday, 10 a.m., correct?
Strong voice from the beginning of the Toronto Raptors. He'll be our first guest. Then we're going to talk some 3x3 with two of Canada's top players, top man, Steve Sir, and one of the Plouffe sisters, Michelle, will be joining us as well. And we're going to talk about 3x3 in the Olympics, in the recent America Cup, where both Canadian teams medaled, future of 3x3, what it looks like. And then I have a phenomenal interview with Ben Golliver, the NBA reporter, lead reporter for the Washington Post, who's honestly, Jason, one of the top 2 or 3 NBA reporters in the U.S. And we're going to just you talk about going into it deep. Ben lives in the weeds. He doesn't go into them. He lives in the weeds of NBA basketball. And man, we're going to have a great conversation.
Awesome. We look forward to that. Now, speaking of the NBA, man, we saw another great game last night. You had the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are first in the East. They've now won 11 in a row, and they defeated the Oklahoma Thunder, who had come in. They're 30-6, so winners of 15 in a row. They just beat the Knicks, actually. Like, it's rare. You got the top teams in the East and the West going at it, and they're all on lengthy winning streaks. Man, if you're a fan of the top teams going head-to-head in the middle of the year to see where they're at, this last week was unreal for OKC.
Oh, it was. The OKC measuring itself, and that's without Holmgren. I mean, their center, for people who don't know, Chet Holmgren has been injured for quite some time, and he gives them a presence in the middle that they do miss, but that they've been able to overcome and put together this incredible winning streak, really without him being a part of it. So I think, as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander keeps knocking at the MVP door, you have to look at him and go, my gosh, what more can a player do to make his team great? But the team they built around him, the way they play defense, just incredible. And then, as you mentioned, Jason, that matchup with the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, my goodness. Talk about 2 good teams and a fun NBA basketball game to watch. That was basketball gold.
Yeah, no, it was. And I look at, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now is, he's having another remarkable season, the Canadian. He just keeps getting better. Like, he's when we talk about great Canadian athletes, I think he's grossly under talked about. Like, he's a top 5 player in the NBA.
Top 2 player, in my opinion, top 3 at the worst. Like, you're absolutely right. I think the fact that he's in a small market and a real small market by NBA standards, Jason, really plays into it in this particular situation, because this guy's phenomenal. And in all aspects of the game, if you had to say what's maybe the weakest part of his offensive game, you'd probably have to say he's not an elite 3-point shooter, but he's a decent 3-point shooter. And he's unbelievable at finishing at the rim, and has a mid-range game that's by far the best in the NBA, by far. And he defends. And the way this team has been constructed and rally around him and allow him the freedom and do everything they can to make sure he gets to do what he does best on offense, and then the way they defend and the way they pay attention to fundamentals, incredible. But you're right. The only way that I think Gilgeous-Alexander can get the due that he deserves is just when people say right now it's between Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the MVP, because that's really what the conversation should be.
Yeah, and that's totally valid. You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, though, Paul, and like they won 11 in a row. They're 19-1 at home. They're 13-3 on the road. They're 32-4, but I still don't sense that people are that excited about them. Why?
I guess it's because they're not the Lakers. And it's because, again, I don't think you can underplay in the NBA the cachet of the Lakers. I guess if you could say the Knicks, the Golden State Warriors. Like there's a couple of teams that have all of the sex appeal in basketball. And when you think of the Cavaliers, you're thinking of Cleveland, and yeah, you associate a championship they won with LeBron James, the home state hero that stayed in Cleveland long enough to win a championship. But anybody who knows basketball or really follows basketball will be excited about the Cavaliers. But they're not on the tip of people's tongues when they talk about the NBA. They're not a franchise that people expected this year to be this good, certainly through the first 36 games, almost halfway through the season. My God, I mean, they're 6 games up on the Boston Celtics. It's an incredible run. As the season goes on, more and more people will take note if they keep up this torrid pace. And as playoffs approach, if they stay healthy, the Cavaliers, they've already established themselves as a force to be reckoned with. But as the season wears on, I think people will start overcoming their biases towards the big market teams and start really looking at who's playing well.
Well, I think we could make an argument. One of the reasons why maybe NBA, everything's falling down is because people get sick of the NBA constantly. They don't care about the teams that are good. They just care about the market they're in. And that's who they put forward. And you know what? That's not the case. Like you look at, you look at the NHL. They got 25 American teams. Connor McDavid's the best player in the game. Leon Draisaitl's a top 5 player in the game. Look at how many times the Edmonton Oilers play on national TV in the U.S. as a Canadian team because they're one of the best teams. They're a small market. Well, they're not even in the States. And I think that's a big issue in the NBA, that it's constantly force-fed, the Lakers, the Knicks, yada, yada, the same teams all the time, regardless of talent. And I think that's part of their problem. Why I think some people they just get turned off by I don't want to see the crap teams. You should have had the game last night. Cleveland and OKC should have been a national game all day.
100%. And it was, I totally agree with you that the NBA gets carried away with its own, I think with its own glitter, its own veneer. And it is veneer because there's assumptions, it seems, to be made by the powers that be that everybody wants to see a 40-year-old LeBron all the time. We don't.
Yeah.
It's ugly. I mean, when you watch the Cavs, if you watched that game last night, you were entertained at a level, honest to goodness. I don't know that you could find a better game this year than what you watched last night. It had everything: offense, defense, superstars, team play, everything that's good about basketball. You watch the Lakers, my God, you're up going to look for the chips anytime any excuse you have, even when the game's going on. It's brutal to watch compared to the teams last night. Yeah. And I agree with you. Hockey, even though they don't get the ratings, although you and I have talked about the ratings decline in the NBA, that's a big part of it. You need to sell your product. You need to sell the game, not the hype.
Yeah, 100%. People are smarter nowadays than ever. The sports fan I know, they want to be entertained, and they want to see the good teams, right? Obviously you want to, in your market, you have a regional broadcast 100%, and you talk about your team. But on this show, people want to know what's going on when it's Ovechkin chasing a record, when it's McKinnon having great years, and et cetera, et cetera. And to me, that's what you want. That's what good sports fans are. And I think the NBA is kind of, they're all about name recognition. And I think a lot of their fans and people are just getting turned off by it so much about the individual in the NBA.
It really is. I went to a Phoenix Suns game a few years ago, and I found it to be one of the most annoying experiences I'd ever had, because all they did was try to overhype and entertain. As soon as the play stopped, they were running out on the court, all this hyperactivity, all these things, literally every second is programmed. The music's blaring. It's everything but basketball. You could just see basketball fading into the background. And I think the NBA has become, again, going back, far too enamored with themselves as being this unbelievable source of entertainment. The bottom line is people, like you said, are more astute sports fans now. And if you're a basketball fan, you're certainly going to want to see great basketball. You don't care about all the other crap that they put out on the court and that they emphasize. And again, on TV, in terms of broadcasting, don't show the bad teams, show the great teams, and give people a taste of what the best basketball is like they do in the NHL.
Yeah, 100%. Paul, great stuff, man. We look forward to the return of the basketball show Saturday morning, 10 a.m. right here on Sports 1440. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too, Jason. Thank you.
That's Paul Sir. host of the basketball show, back on air. And trust me, those guys are super passionate about basketball at all levels. They don't just talk NBA. They'll talk WNBA. They're talking, of course, the Bears and the Ooks and the Griffins and, of course, the Stingers when they're going. So if you're a basketball fan at all levels, Paul is 3-on-3. He's tapped into everything. We'll come back. Speck's going to join us from Pittsburgh. We're going to hear from a few members of the Oilers, including head coach Chris Knobloch. No lineup changes for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. None, zero zilch. They will go with the same lineup, but it means Josh Brown will play his second consecutive game on the back end. Brown was fine. We all know he's not the long-term answer, but he was fine. He actually had a really good scoring chance in like the first 4 minutes of that game, but was on the ice, 1 goal for, none against. Shots were 6-3. Brown was just fine. And you know what, for a game or two here or there, whatever, you bring the guy on the trip, you sign him, you probably feel like, hey, let's give him a look. I think ultimately we know that Troy Stetcher offers more at this point. And we all know the Oilers are still in the market looking for a right shot defense. Quick break after Connor Halley Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Stop in right now at Booster Juice because they have, as always, great smoothies, but also, have you ever tried any of their grilled food? Ooh, the paninis, fantastic. Try one now, only at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It is game day. The Edmonton Oilers on the road once again in Pittsburgh, set to take on the Penguins. Puck drop after 5. Our pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Jason Gregor gets going at 4, right here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere, you'll have the Sabres in Ottawa, Lightning hosting the Bruins, Devils take on the Rangers, Stars and Flyers, Jackets host the Kraken, the Leafs in Carolina, Wild host the Avalanche, and the Golden Knights hosting the New York Islanders. In the association, the Cavaliers hosting the Raptors, tip off 5 o'clock from Cleveland. Also, Pistons take on the Warriors, Trailblazers in Dallas, Suns host the Hawks, Heat in Utah, and the Lakers Hornets postponed due to the fires in Los Angeles. College football playoffs tonight. It is the semifinal as number 6 Penn State taking on number 7 Notre Dame. That will be going at 5:30. Some news from the NFL. The Las Vegas Raiders have fired general manager Tom Telesco after 1 season. The move comes 2 days after the team fired head coach Antonio Pierce after his first season with the team. And Lamar Jackson will be without one of his top targets on the weekend as Pro Bowl wide receiver Zay Flowers has been ruled out for the Ravens with a knee injury he suffered last week. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear from Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. We'll hear from members of the Oilers and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Are you watching the interest rates these days? Of course you are. Paying less interest leaves money in your pocket. That's why St. Albert Dodge is happy to tell you that right now they have 0% financing on virtually all new 2024 models. Hundreds to choose from: Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer, Dodge Durango, and Hornet, Ram 1500, 2500, 3500, all with 0% financing. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Wow. For Arcelli hockey fans, your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street South. Southwest.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Mr. Rooter makes a prank phone call.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello there. Is your faucet running?
Yeah, actually it is. I have this really annoying drip.
Oh, you'll want to check for mineral buildup or corrosion. Otherwise, it's likely an defective gasket or O-ring. I got him good.
Mr. Rooter, you're the worst at this.
For lousy punchlines and immaculate water lines, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Been there? Scrap that. Metal Neck Salvage.
With public scrapyard locations in Camrose and Drayton Valley, they'll even come to you. Metal Necks has the trailers and equipment to haul anything away, and not just the good stuff. They'll take it all and pay you more. Their crew also tackles farm, oil field, and industrial site cleanups. Book now for winter. Plus, demolition and roll-off bin services. Details at metalnecks.ca and on Facebook.
Taking care of their customers one piece at a time. Metal Neck Salvage.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean try.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. eWell.ca is your power play partner with a new website that puts the power in your hands with 24/7 ordering and shipping with Edmonton and across Alberta. Score an account today at ewell.ca.
Look good, feel good, play good. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for listening to Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.309, welcome back. Game Day, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Cougar running things on the digital side as the Oilers into Pittsburgh tonight to take on the Penguins. And then they will go to Chicago to take on the Blackhawks. I wonder, though, how many players will, if you remember the Oilers team, and Connor McDavid's having his jersey retired in Erie. It's not that far. Would you go? Like, would you plan, hey, let's, I know sometimes, like McDavid himself could just say, you know what, we're going to get a private charter. Who wants to come? Now, he might not want to ask guys, but I'm sure, if, a few of the guys, hey, I'd want to go. Like Connor Brown, former member of the Erie Otters, played there. Probably want to go. Chris Knobloch coached him there. Could you imagine the Otters if all of a sudden, like, the whole Oilers team was there on the night that McDavid's jersey gets retired? Like, have you seen the comments from some of the young players? Like, you got to remember, like, Connor McDavid is a big deal in hockey circles, right? He's a big deal amongst fans around the NHL. No, not just Oilers fans, but you have Malcolm Spence, who is projected to be a first rounder, so pretty good young player himself. Right? He's like, man, it's going to be surreal seeing McDavid's number. There are some guys, even though their numbers aren't retired, you're like, I'm not taking his number, no chance. And McDavid obviously is at the top of that list. He's the best player in hockey right now. I think we're all just excited to even get a chance to hear him speak and to meet him. It's true. Like, that'll be a big deal. You know, he'll come in usually when it's a jersey retirement at any level. You know, the player comes in the room, you get you introduced to players and stuff like that. But these are young kids, man. Like, McDavid's the best player in the game. You don't think those boys are going to be fired up for that? And then just imagine if you see his teammates coming around like, hey, Connor McDavid's a pretty big part of the Oilers and, close-knit team. I'm curious how many of their guys will go, to that event. I would think a few of them would want to. So we'll see.
Hour 15-minute flight.
Yeah.
So you get to Chicago pretty quick after the game.
Yeah, after the game. Yeah, it's not, if you want, or heck, you can sleep over and fly early in the morning. It's not that bad, but I'm sure they will go after the game, obviously. So we'll see. But Oilers obviously want to take care of business tonight first as they continue this road trip. They're 2-0. They're into Pittsburgh and then Chicago, then home for one game against the Kings, and then back on the road, Mini, Colorado, and Vancouver next week before they will be having a 6-game homestand. And what's important about these next two games is after these next two, the Oilers then play 6 games against playoff teams. Pittsburgh, Chicago, currently non-playoff teams. And the Oilers, this year they're 18-5. Last year they were 31-8-3 against non-playoff teams. Like, they've been very good against the teams they should beat. Now, against the Penguins, they've been out of this world good. It has been an absolute nightmare matchup for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Oilers have beat them for fun. The closest score was 4-1. Been 4-0, 4-0, 6-1, 7-2. No, sorry, I guess the closest score would be 6-3. Every other one was and a 5-2. So the best the Penguins could do was lose by 3. Lost by 3 twice. They've lost by 4 3 times and by 5 twice. Like, that's crazy, man. Like, even when Leon Draisaitl was dominating the Nashville Predators almost by himself, they weren't winning every game by 3 goals. It has been a matchup. And honestly, if you look at the overall numbers this year, Penguins have allowed the most 5-on-5 goals in the NHL. They've allowed the second most shots. The Oilers have the most shots 5-on-5 in the league and are now up to 8th in goals after a little bit of a slow start in October when they weren't scoring 5-on-5. So it's a good matchup for the Edmonton Oilers, and no lineup changes. Chris, why mess with a good thing? They have they've won 4 in a row. They have played a very good game against the Boston Bruins 2 nights ago. Very good game. So we'll see. Let's get now to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. You can save up to $12,000 right now on remaining 2024 Volvo demo models only at the 13-time Excellence Award winner in sales and service, Volvo Cars Edmonton.com. And Chris Knobloch just, is there anything he wants to improve on, or after that game in Boston, is it just status quo?
Well, I think one thing is staying on the penalty box. Tonight, I think our discipline has been pretty good all year. Last year, one of the most disciplined teams. Just going to be important tonight because how well Pittsburgh's power play has been, especially last month or so. So we don't want to give them any extra opportunities.
So, that's the one area the Pittsburgh Penguins have been good in their power play, which is how it should be. They got some talent. Last year, their power play was dreadful, funny enough. What has he liked from his team defensively as of late?
Well, a lot of that is the penalty kill, how well the penalty kill's been, not giving up that extra goal tonight. And I think a lot of credit to the defense. They've been doing a great job of, defending, but the best way to defend is not having to defend. I think our puck movement has been good and not making mistakes. But I think also the biggest thing is when your goals are down, it's usually the last guy, and that's our goaltending, and both of them have been really good.
Yeah, Stu Skinner, though, will come off the shutout. The Oilers currently are riding out 127-minute shutout streak against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Don't text in. I don't believe in jinx. Saying the S word. 2 hours before the puck drops has zero bearing on it. So just let's just say that, right? The Oilers have only allowed 1 goal in the last 3 games against the Penguins, so they have been pretty stingy. And we saw it last game. Hyman, McDavid coming back together more. Where's Knobloch on that? And the temptation is to go back full time. What is he like from Hyman on the third line, Brown on the top line, and kind of rotating different combinations?
They'll definitely be together at some point. Right now, it was just more of a reward for Brownie. Brownie had been playing so well, and he'd been stuck pretty much on the third and fourth lines pretty much all the time. But since I've been here, and he's moved up that top line. I think he's been doing a really good job. But I also see Zach Hyman as being definitely a top 6 guy who can play those kind of minutes. And obviously, when you score 50 plus goals last year, you often don't get to dismiss the third line on a long-term basis.
No, that's well said by the head coach there. I think everybody knows there's the potential of Zach Hyman, and I won't be surprised to see him back there regularly sooner than later. Connor Brown, was a good reward by the coach, and I think that's what you do. But at the same time, like Zach Hyman been playing unreal, and he's been playing very well ever since he got acquired or signed as a free agent. So I won't be surprised. We saw him there. Well, I got to go back and look at the exact minutes, but I want to say he played 5 or 6 minutes with McDavid, and I won't be surprised to see it creep up at all. Look at their third line was very good last game. Scored 2 goals. Now it's only 1 game, but does he feel his team has more balanced scoring in their top 9? And how does that make him? Does it make him harder to play against than they have been recently?
Well, we also got a 50-goal scorer on the fourth line. We would. That line is obviously very dangerous, and Rico's typically put up, 15 to 25 goals also. So, it makes it a lot more difficult for the other team to match up. If they want to match up, obviously a lot of teams have 2 good pairs that can play against those top lines, and we feel that McDavid's on one, Draisaitl's on the other one. Well, now that third line's pretty dangerous too, because you've got a lot of goals, obviously, with Hyman there with the season that he had. So, and you saw it the other night with Rico getting his 2.
Yeah, it's just now, Henrique has been a little bit snake bitten. So I think they hope maybe that, Jeff Skinner scored in Seattle. Henrique scored twice. You'd like to get those guys, their goal production's a little bit lower than what you'd expect. Connor McDavid, he talked, first of all, just about, he's pretty excited about the team's defensive play as of late.
Yeah, it's been really solid. Obviously starts with the back end. They've been great. Goalies played well. Boards are, playing solid, being responsible. It's been good to see.
And 27 points in 14 career games against the Penguins. Safe to say, he gets pretty excited to play the Pens.
Yeah, of course. Always look forward to it. Playing Sid, playing the Penguins. It's exciting.
He's rather not overly excited about it, but his numbers suggest that he gets pretty amped up, him and his teammates, because they have been dominating the Pittsburgh Penguins here for the last few seasons, winners of 7 in a row. And I know not to get ahead of themselves, but tomorrow, of course, is a big day for Connor McDavid, and just his thoughts on going back to Erie, where he will have his jersey retired tomorrow night.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. Be fun to see Erie again. Fun to see that arena, those fans. Really, really excited about it.
I wonder how many Oiler fans are going to that, because I know the Oiler fans are diehards. They'll travel on the road. Do you plan out certain games of the year? There's got to be a few of them that have said, you know what? Let's plan a road trip. We're going to go here. And oh, by the way, we're going to just mix in a stop into Erie to see where McDavid was and to have his jersey retired. There's got to be somebody out there guaranteed is going to that game who's an Oiler fan for sure. That was the Oil Report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. When we return, Mark Spector will join us from Pittsburgh. No Evgeny Malkin. Maybe, I don't know if that's a good thing, because the Pens with him have just been murdered lately, but now it's Cody Glass, second line center against Leon Draisaitl. Ooh, tough matchup. We'll break it down next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
He is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa. And you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. It's mere seconds east of the Anthony Henday.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big McDavid, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goal. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Cold, icy mornings, frozen windshield, snow in the forecast, and your vehicle won't start. You know what that means, Alberta. Winter is here. Don't get left out of the cold. Head to Napa Auto Parts today to gear up for the frosty months ahead. Winter won't wait, and neither should you. From premium batteries, starters, and alternators to high-quality wiper blades, antifreeze, and snow brushes, Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready and running. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or visit NapaCanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
Noodle noodle nood noodle nood noodle nood oodle noodle nood. Noodle noodle nood 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 noodle nood oodle noodle nood oodle nood oodle nood noodle noodle nood noodle nood noodle nood oodle noodle nood. Noodle noodle nood 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 noodle nood oodle noodle nood.
Throw the load down to Oodle Noodle tonight, because dine-in is open.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3.27. It's funny about this song is every time I hear it, I think more of the lip sync on Fallon from Paul Rudd. Oh, it's pretty funny actually. So it's good. Oh man, there's some good laughs you get from this. People get upset about the most inane things at times, and we're going to seek legal action. I don't think people understand what legal action they can seek or not. Oh, it's hilarious. Just reading some of these stories online. Too funny. Every now and then you got to go down a rabbit hole that gives you a little bit of a chuckle for sure. Oilers, trust me, they have been smiling a lot. I don't know if they're been chuckling, but they have definitely been smiling because they've had a lot of fun taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins here for the last few seasons. Winners of 7 in a row. They've outscored the Penguins 37-9. Connor McDavid has 17 points. The Penguins have 9 goals. Zach Hyman has as many points as the Penguins have goals. Draisaitl has more points. McDavid has more points. Like, it has been a good old-fashioned ass kicking for many years here for the Oilers, and they'll look to continue it tonight against the Malkinless Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. As we get to the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction, underground infrastructure. You might not see it, but it is hugely important. The foundation in your neighborhoods to get running water, the foundations to keep a lot of the roadways going. That is GS Construction. As Mark Spector joins us from Pittsburgh. Spec, how you doing?
Doing awesome. Ready for a hockey game here. Let's go, baby.
Geez, I like the almost looking like a priest with that outfit and the collar. Now you pull the tie down a little bit better. Maybe
everybody.
You should pull it up. I know you probably stopped in for a little prayer before the game tonight. The Penguins could use some divine intervention, Spec, because oh my goodness, this is, and you were there, like Connor McDavid, the excitement when he talked about playing the Penguins, like they're going into that game just feeling so good about themselves right now.
Yeah, you know how it works. It's like going into Nashville or when you get a team, you just always have a good night against. This is that team in the East for Edmonton. And it's funny, Columbus isn't that far from here, and it's the total opposite. They lose in Columbus every time they go there. And I'd tell you that Pittsburgh's been a better team than Columbus. So figure that out in another show. But they beat Pittsburgh. They're quicker than Pittsburgh. They've been faster. They're deeper. They're better. Pittsburgh, I think these are two of the oldest teams in the National Hockey League. It's my belief. On this date, Edmonton is the oldest team, and I'm not sure Pittsburgh is the second, but Edmonton's old and good, and Pittsburgh sometimes I think is just old.
Oh God, yeah, you think? So old and slow. That's and the other thing is, like, in today's NHL, where the Penguins struggle is the area that teams, they murder you at now, off the rush, right? Like, some teams used to be great cycle teams, and cycle can be a little bit more noticeable in the playoff, Spec. But man, in the regular season, teams that give up chances off the rush, they get murdered. And, that was an area that Edmonton, when Chris Knobloch took over, it was one of the first things he talked about. We got to limit our chances off the rush. And we've seen huge improvements there. And Pittsburgh isn't. They've allowed the most goals 5-on-5. They've allowed the second most shots 5-on-5, and they're taking on a team tonight that has the most shots in the NHL 5-on-5. They're 8th in goals 5-on-5 after a slow start, and they're feeling it right now. And they've also scored first, Spec, in 7 straight and 11 of their last 14 games. The Oilers, when they get up, they're pretty good. They have the most games played this year where they enter the third period with a lead 25 times. Winnipeg and New Jersey are next at 21. So Pittsburgh has any hope tonight. They're going to need a good start. And Edmonton's come out of the gates really well here the last month.
Yeah, I think, I mean, maybe I don't want to be the boring coach type, but to me, the standard is set by the way this team defends now. You know, the other team sometimes has the puck. Like, I thought Boston had the puck a fair bit in the first 2 periods the other night, but it doesn't turn into great chances. You know, Edmonton can withstand, a 45-second shift in their own zone, and it doesn't always come down to Stu Skinner or Pickard making some fabulous save to keep it out. There's a lot of saves they're making and getting the whistle they want that aren't that tough a save, you know? So then, of course, they get their chances and they're potent offensively. But to me, like, you talk about leads. To me, obviously, you got to score goals to get leads. I get it. But I'd say more than half of that stat you're talking about, getting leads and having leads into the third period, I think they've just been defended so well. They're hard to score on, you know, and they weren't always that way, but they are now. They're hard to score on.
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, the Oilers have improved defensively. They're going with the exact same lineup, Spec, and Josh Brown will get a second game. Heck, he had a great chance early in that game. Imagine if he would have scored, God, he probably would have went crazy. I'm sure his teammates would have too. But when I look at this, you know, the Zach Hyman, Connor McDavid, we saw them play together. I didn't look up the exact number. It was close 5 or 6 minutes, right? Like, it's only a matter of time before Hyman's going to go back on that line full time.
I think it is too. This to me is Chris Knobloch. We've watched him long enough, and one of the traits we've seen with this guy is he's quite willing to try things out for a little while, knowing that if he needs to do it later on, it won't be a big shock. And I think we were talking about this yesterday. For me, this is the Oilers being a top 9 team. This is the Oilers with 3, offensive lines. Like, if you have McDavid and Nuge, obviously they're good. You got Draisaitl's line. It's awesome. They're very productive. And then if you put Henrique between a 30-goal guy in Skinner and a 50 or 40-goal guy in Hyman, the third line, that gets soft matchups, right? Soft matchups because they don't have McDavid or Draisaitl. Now you got 3 lines coming at you. And I agree with you. I think that, I'm not saying it's going to last this way all year, but I like what I see with sort of 3 lines that make you worry that they can score a goal on you. And I don't know, man, maybe that's a way to go around here. The bottom 6, we've always said, Jay, it lacks identity. They don't have Vegas's 4th line. They don't have bangers. They don't have a bunch of guys that stir the pot. Maybe this is the solution in Edmonton's forward lines. What do you think?
No, Hyman's on my first line all day, every day, twice on Sunday, come playoff time. I'm not putting a 50-goal score in the third line to quote spread it out. All that does is it spreads it thin, because Connor Brown, when Connor McDavid sets Connor Brown up in the slot, he doesn't score as much as Zach Hyman. That's just a fact. So so I'm not doing it. You know what? I think their third line in the playoffs, everybody loved it. Henrique, Janmark, and Brown, they were fine. They scored some big goals at times. They were good penalty killers. They're exactly what you want. But I want my best guys playing with my best guys. And if you can get Jeff Skinner going on the left side, great. For the time being, I'm not sold yet. I have never seen him in the playoffs, so I have no idea if he can continue it in the playoffs. I'm skeptical because of his speed and everything else. But I want I want Zach Hyman in my top line. I expect him to be there. And tonight, honestly, against Pittsburgh, Spec, when you have dominated this team to the level that you have, I'm going guns a-blazing early on, and I would probably play McDavid and Hyman together sooner than later.
Well, here's what I think. I think no one's arguing here. Connor Brown is a middle 6 winger. Zach Hyman is a top line winger. Like, no one's saying that's not the case. Right. You'd be stupid to think otherwise. This is, I mean, the conversation's about deployment. But I'll tell you what, I don't know, like you're telling me come out, score as many goals as you can, get to 5, you're going to beat these guys. That's fair. But I don't know if I'm changing what they've been doing lately, Jay. Like they went out against Boston and they just ground them down. A couple nights ago, the start of this trip, it was Seattle had 10 shots on goal in the first 40 minutes. Last game, Boston had 12 shots on goal in the first 40 minutes.
Like, no, Anaheim didn't have much on Friday night either.
Anaheim didn't have much on Friday. Like, my point would be, this little run they're on, I'm not changing stuff. Zach Hyman's just fine where he is. That line scored 2 goals the other night. They're going good. If I'm coaching, that's why Brown's staying in. Like he said, hey, we're going good. Why would you change it? Stetcher sits out again, and I like him. I wouldn't change much if I was them.
Yeah, well, I don't think if you put a Hyman back with Brown that suddenly that's the reason they're going to have less success. Especially because last game, like Knobloch, you look at the line, and that's why I don't get too concerned about line rotations. But Hyman and McDavid together have been, almost as dominant as Draisaitl and McDavid together for a time. So that's why I'd go back to them. But I look at Corey Perry spec. He sits out a game, he comes back in, plays well, gets an assist, has a fight that he doesn't have to take that fight, but finally, I'm not taking enough of this anymore, right? Like Corey Perry just continues to do a lot of the small things.
I like Corey Perry. On this team, you got room for him. Again, if you had a bunch of big, young studs that played the fourth line and skated fast and hit hard, were 6'4", I might say, you know what, I want that to be my energy line. Edmonton doesn't have that. Right? They don't have that. So Corey, they're getting everything out of Corey Perry they asked for, in my opinion. I like Corey Perry. And I know for sure that off the ice, he's a very helpful guy for this team. He's been there and done that everywhere in every big game there is to be played. So you won't get any argument from me on Corey Perry.
Yeah, no, I like them a lot. Now, Pittsburgh spec, no Malkin tonight. And
is it no Malkin tonight, or is he game time? When I left the rink today, they said game time decision. Game
time decision. Okay, the guy in Pittsburgh, Matt, was saying he doesn't expect him to play after talking to the coach, so we'll see. Okay. But I look at and even if he does play, he says, man, he's kind of struggled defensively anyway. I get that he wants to, but man, I look up and down this Penguins lineup spec, and my goodness, like they just. They're a shadow of themselves. And I understand that, eventually, things are going to go by the wayside, but like they don't even have like young guys that you think have potential, right? Like you look at, Drew O'Connor, Matt Nieto, Blake Lizotte, Jesse Puljujärvi, Noel Acciari.
Don't talk about Jesse Puljujärvi that way.
Like none of them, they don't have any young players in their lineup that you think, hey, this guy's going to help us in the near future.
No, they don't have a lot on the come, as they would say. That's for sure. Hey, listen, man. You know what? They're like the Boston Bruins conversation we had the other day. They've been at the top a long, long, long time. And their time at the bottom's coming. It's just inevitable. No one stays there the whole time, especially in a cap system. So that's where they're at. They're just an okay team, and they're not going north, pal. They're going south. So
yeah, they ain't going north anytime soon, Spec.
And what about the Canucks? Did you see any of that game last night in Washington?
Yep.
So I'm reading Ian McIntyre today. I wasn't aware. Quinn Hughes plays 27 minutes with this brace on his hand. I guess he's playing his rear end off. Hurt. Yep. Apparently Miller's been having shoulder problems all year long, and his shoulder, I don't know if it pops in or out or what it does, but he's playing hurt. And I see Tocchet on the TV the other day saying Pettersson's cleared to play by doctors, but he won't play yet. He's not playing yet. So they go in overtime in one of the toughest buildings in the league in a 1-1 game because their best guy's not playing. They can't get the second goal. Like, that guy must be driving Rick Tocchet wild in Vancouver. Hey, must be driving him crazy, Pettersson, don't you think?
Well, you hear something's got to give there. And I know some people say, well, you got to wait till the off season. I don't know, man. Like, they got to do something. It's not working. And really what's interesting about the Canucks spec is they've played the most games of the playoff teams against non-playoff teams. Okay. And they're 12-7-7. They've only won 12 of 26, which is awful. Like Vegas has won 19 of 22. The Oilers have won 18 of 23. Like all the Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, they've all won 17 at 22 or 3. The Canucks are closer to the wild card than they are to the division title because they can't beat the bad teams. And
now they're going to start playing the good ones.
Exactly. It's not a good look for them. And so I wonder, I know, strength of schedule does matter, but especially now we're halfway to the season. You kind of know for the most part who's who. We don't know who the bottom 2 playoff spots in the East are going to be, but we know who the top 7 are. We know who the top 6 in the East are. We know 13 teams for sure. And Vancouver, if healthy, I think most people would say they're better than Calgary and St. Louis and not Utah, but they're not healthy. So that opens the door a little bit. And man, I wonder what they're going to do there. Like, because you could wait till the offseason because the theory that, well, there's more teams involved and there's big cap hit. And I understand that theory. But if you can find a trade that you like, I would do it now because I'm not sold you'll find a better one in the summer.
Well, I mean, it's a weird trade for me. Like, I trade Miller all day long just because he's 30. And Pettersson is, what is Pettersson? Is he
26, 27?
26, right. So, I mean, I probably trade Miller and try to figure out this Pettersson guy. But I'll tell you what, when I see what I'm seeing, like, Quinn Hughes, let's use him for an example. He's a franchise player, right?
Yeah.
He's the best player in that team by a country mile. He does play hurt. He took a licking in that series against Edmonton last year. I'm not saying he was uber productive, but he never quit. He kept playing the whole time. He did gave you all he had. Here he is playing now with a brace on his hand. He's playing 27 minutes playing hurt last night in Washington. And the guy we're talking about keeping here is sitting in the press box because the doctors say he's ready to play, but he doesn't play yet. So I'll tell you what, how do you build a team? How's that? When your best player doesn't want it like that, how does the rest of the team? How can he lead his team? How do you stick with that player as your leader? I don't know.
That's hard. I totally agree with you.
How you do it, man? Like, again, we all knew Rick Tocchet the way he played. We know he's a fiery guy. He played hurt. He played hard. And he's coaching this guy. Like, I can't see those two guys in the same dressing room for much longer either, to be honest.
Yeah. Wow. Oiler fans have a lot of empathy right now for Vancouver. The text line is flooding in with Oilers fans being very sorry about the Canucks.
Hey, Oilers fans, you know what? One thing you got to say is your best guys, they all play with big you-know-whats, right? We've seen Draisaitl limp through entire playoffs. McDavid shuts up and plays no matter how hard he gets hit. Your best guys play. They all have courage. And sometimes we take it for granted, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, it's well said, Spec. Enjoy the game tonight. Are you taking an extra trip out to Erie? And do you know how many of his teammates are going to join McDavid in Erie?
No, it's a very small traveling crew. I'm told that I think Connor Brown at one point was going to go. He's not going. Knobloch is not going. Because so for people that aren't sure, after the game tonight, the Oilers fly to Chicago, but Connor McDavid and Jeff Jackson are flying into Erie, or driving, I should say, to Erie. And I think there's a bunch of McDavid family coming down, and likely his agent, things like that, for sure. But it won't be a bunch of Oilers. Chris Knobloch told us the other day that he figured that this was one of their rare practice days that they're going to have on this trip in the next couple of weeks. But he didn't want to miss it tomorrow in Chicago.
Okay.
So is Spec going? If that's the next question, I am not going to Erie to see a junior game, I'm afraid. But it probably would be fun to be there for Connor.
Oh God, yeah.
Jersey retirement, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think it'll be it'll be big for him. And I guess I understand, there's bigger things, but I look at the practice schedule and everything else. I just thought maybe the coach would say, hey guys, like, why don't we go? It's pretty, it's still a pretty big deal, right? For the guy who's a pretty big piece, arguably the biggest piece of the organization.
I thought Knobloch would go for sure. I'm a little, because whoever goes, I think they miss practice obviously on the Fridays. Right. That's the deal.
Okay.
But I thought, I don't know. Hey, I thought maybe Connor Brown would go too.
Yeah.
Well, it's one practice. Who cares? I mean, I remember the old years ago, Gretzky used to fly out a day ahead of the team out east and do a bunch of promotional stuff and miss a day of practice. I know he's Wayne Gretzky, but one practice. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, I think 100%. But I know they don't get as much now, so the coach wants it. So, and you know what? If if he knew, although, if he knew ahead of time how well his team was playing, maybe he would have said, we'll just take the day off. But
well, maybe the team wouldn't mind if the coach screwed off for a day and they had to practice without him. How about that?
Mac, have a good one. We will chat with you tomorrow.
Hey, sounds good, Jake.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. Now,
Gregor.
when we come back, we got 5 questions, and we'll get into the pregame show. We got Merrick coming up again later on. More on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean. Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Vimy and Donnan Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you know a student athlete interested in growing as a person and a player, attend the Vimy Open House on January 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. Beginner or experienced, this program nurtures and develops a student athlete's skills in a supportive environment. The Vimy Open House is a great opportunity for prospective student athletes entering grades 7 through 12 to see what Vimy Hockey and all of the other sport academies at Vimy have to offer. Visit vimyridge.epsv.ca for more info.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's AquaCentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big McDavid, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
I like this text from Spruce Grove Corey. Hey guys, one practice isn't a big deal. Signed, Dave Cameron. Touche. Difference was his team wasn't even winning. Oh, we're too tired. Well, did we have any travel? No. Are the other teams practicing? Yes. But we're too tired. Give me a break. Give me a break. But hey, I get it. I can understand why in the NHL. I can also understand the other side. Coach says, you know what, guys? You're going to have a day off or away we go. Now, I get it because the Oilers, they play in Chicago, then they fly home on Sunday, so that'll be a day off because I think they arrive in time enough. Well, maybe not. What time's the puck drop against Chicago? Is that an early game on Saturday? Okay, so they should arrive home before 2 a.m., which then means Sunday will be a day off and it's considered a day off. So then they play Monday. Then they will fly to Minnesota. So there's no practice then. They play Wednesday, Thursday, Minnesota, Colorado. Travel to Vancouver. You're not going to practice that day. Then Vancouver. So I get it. He's not going to have a practice for a week. So I can understand it. But the team might have said, hey, coach, maybe we'll take a little bit extra in the pregame, in the morning skate. Who knows? Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where you got a few days left. It ends this weekend. Your last chance to get in on the Boxing Week blowout. How about this? You can pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. And if you know what a Eurotop is, you are a bed expert. Just exactly what they're looking for at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, let's start off with a bold prediction for tonight's game, and also, what will the final score be?
Ooh, well, you know what? It's hard for me not to think it's going to be a blowout. How can I not? That's what the Oilers do. They blow them out. So the Oilers, and they're rolling. So I'm going to say the Edmonton Oilers win 5-2 tonight. And bold prediction, Evan Bouchard's first power play goal of the season.
Yeah, that was actually the score I was thinking too. I like the Oilers to find a way to get it done. I'll say 4-2. They don't get the empty netter that I was planning on them getting. And I'm going to say 2 of the goals actually come from the third line, whether it's Hyman, Henrique, or Jeff Skinner. Question number 2 for you with the Pittsburgh Penguins. We saw last year the late push for the playoff spot. Where will they finish in the standings this season in the Eastern Conference?
Well, they're not going to make the playoffs. And honestly, if I'm the Pittsburgh Penguins, if you look at how tight it is, the best case scenario for the Penguins would be to finish 15th or 14th. But I think they'll finish 11th or 10th and puts them just on the cusp of being a top 8 pick, which is not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of hanging on to that playoff spot, Gregor, but losers of 4 straight. They've got the worst goal differential in the Eastern Conference. I don't think it's going to be good. I think there's going to be teams that surge past them, and the Canadians and the Sens, and they fall down. But like you say, they're probably not going to be bad enough to get one of those, well, a higher opportunity to get a top pick. Just Sidney Crosby, I feel, will carry them to a decent record. So I'll have them 10th or 11th in the East, out of the playoff spot, and a long shot to land a top pick in the upcoming draft. Question number 3 for you, as of course I close my questions. Question number 3. Tonight is the National Football or College Football Playoff. We've got Penn State and Notre Dame tomorrow, Texas, Ohio State. Who's your pick to meet in the national championship?
Well, I'll go with I'm going with Team Rudy. Let's go Notre Dame. I know there was some reports that they got some guys with the flu bug going around, so who knows? But I'll go Notre Dame and Ohio State.
I'm going to go Penn State, and
you're taking Texas because that's who you're sticking with.
Because I got to go with the Longhorns. And
why? SEC lover.
I've committed to the bit too long. I have to stick with it. Longhorns. Horns up. Question number 4 for you. We saw a premier matchup last night in the association, the Cavs topping the Thunder. Do you think this is an NBA Finals preview? And if not, who's going to be there instead?
Man, I really like the Thunder a lot. And they don't even have their center right now. Like, who can beat them? I still maybe wouldn't count out the Nuggets, but none of the other teams, like, they're just not that good. So I like OKC. Now, the East, which started out terrible, but the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Cavs, they're all good. And then even the Bucks. But, you know, does Cleveland have 2 big scores come playoff time? That's going to be my question. I would love for it to be Cleveland, but I think it might be the Celtics.
I'm with you. The Boston Celtics, after getting finally to the top of the mountain, I think this year, a little more onus on the playoffs. They know when they have to ramp it up. So finishing in second spot, maybe not ideal. I'm sure they'd love to lock up home court throughout the playoffs. I think the Celtics would be too tough to top. And then, yeah, how can you go against OKC? I want to see SGA go into the final, see what he can do there. He's been outstanding to watch, and they're running away with it in the West. I know there's some veteran teams who probably maybe have that similar mindset with the Celtics. Let's talk when we get to the playoffs, but OKC, what they've been able to do this season, awesome. I hope we get to see that matchup. Final question for you. It's the late Bob Denver's birthday. He, of course, started as Gilligan on Gilligan's Island. So we're going to kind of mix things up. Being in an island with TV characters or movie characters. If you were trapped on an island with 3 fictional characters, who would you pick? Can be cartoon or real life.
Fictional characters. Who would I want? 3 of them. So like, is this at this stage of my life, or is this when these shows were on stage of my life?
Your call. Whatever you want.
You go first. Let me think about mine.
For 2, I think, survival is key here. So I'm going to go with Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. He lives off the grid. So I feel like he'd be someone to be good to have. I'm going to go to the cartoon world for 2, Hank Hill. He's another guy, very handy around the house. And then I was trying to think of like someone who'd be good for cooking. And I don't know, like I've never really seen that show on FX with the guy who's the chef, but maybe he's a good chef. So this could be a long shot, but I'll have to look up his name. But that's what I'm going to go with. I'll get his name officially. Jeremy Allen, Carmen Carmy from The Bear.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going survival here. And Gregor, I got to know my strengths. I'm not a survivalist, so these would be the 3 for me.
Okay. Well, we're going fictional characters. Does that be TV or movies?
TV or movies, either one.
All right. Well, even though he's a real person, his show is fiction. So I'm going to go with Jerry Seinfeld because I need some laughs. I am taking Celine from Underworld. Greatest crush I think I've ever had of any character. That's Kate Beckinsale. Unbelievable. In Underworld, if you haven't seen it. And I'm taking Elaine Bennis because she's smart, funny, and witty. So I'll have a double date with Jerry and I. That's what I'll do.
I considered Chuck Noland. He's from Castaway, Tom Hanks' character.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't put him through it again though.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be by himself though. He wouldn't unless you're comparing your communication skills to a volleyball.
Well, he went through it already, so he gets this one off.
I just want Celine because if there's any trouble on the island, not only super sexy but super tough. So it's a win-win, man. Win-win. God, I don't know. Have you ever seen Underworld?
No, I haven't.
I'm telling you, Kate Beckinsale in her outfit is one of the greatest. And you know what? And it's not even overly revealing. That's what I like about it. It's like a little bit hidden, but it's that kind of vampire cat suit. Oof. Yowza. So good. Coming up, we got lots. We'll talk Oilers, Penguins. Walker will join us next after Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Stop in right now as you have the winter tire clearance going on at Fountain Tire. You can get 20% off all in-stock winter tires, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. FountainTire.com.
The Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. The Oilers and Penguins meeting in Pittsburgh. Puck drop just about an hour away. We got pregame coverage coming up next with Andrew Walker and Jason Gregor here on Sports 1440. Also, Sabres, Sens. You got the Lightning and the Bruins. Devils in New York taking on the Rangers. Flyers host the Stars, Kraken, and Jackets. Leafs in Carolina, and the Wild hosting the Avalanche in the Association. The Raptors in Cleveland to take on the Cavs. That gets going at 5 o'clock. College football playoffs rolling on tonight. Penn State up against Notre Dame. That will go from Miami at 5:30. And from the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders have fired General Manager Tom Telesco after one season. Up next, pregame coverage with Andrew Walker here on Sports 1440. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, the Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tank.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Just when the weather is freezing your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak and chicken paninis, topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle, grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Courses this hour brought to you by Epcor. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, making them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community link or a city rink that's safe for you, your family, and friends. Think twice and stay safe. And stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
Sports 1440 presents the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show, powered by Cross Mitsubishi at 34th Avenue and 96th Street. They offer a huge selection of new and used vehicles. Check them out today. Now, here's your pregame host, Andrew Walker.
Rolling through, it is game day on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, of course, sports1440.ca. If you're on the app, wherever you're listening to it, some of you on the beach, you lucky sons of you-know-what, enjoy that at Stingray, of course, radio player or iHeartRadio. I'm Jason Gregor. We welcome in Andrew Walker to the show. Walks and
what's going on, everybody?
Oh, it's a beautiful day again in January. Normally it's freezing now, so we'll take the nice weather.
Who's on the beach? Who do you know that's on the beach? Or you got texters on the
beach? No, we
get
texters just random all the time. Then they send us pictures. I love it, but hate it. Kind of, it's one of those excited for them, but also like, God, I wish, especially like last week when it's freezing. That's the best time.
Like bikini pictures or like 40-year-old men on the beach?
No. Thankfully, they just send pictures of the beach. Oh. So, right. And people know, like, don't sit, like the worst picture that has become a trend is you sit in your lawn chair or whatever, you're in your lounger.
The hot dog legs.
And you show the picture of like from your knees down to your feet. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, unless you're selling that picture on some weird online thing, no one wants to see your feet on the beach. Just take the picture of, say, everybody knows you're sitting in your chair on the beach.
Well, you're not a POV fan? That's not the category you look up? Or?
Dude, yeah, I don't. You know what? Kudos to the people that do it. And you hear the stories about what they make on like foot fetishes and stuff. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I get it. Like you can make up. I didn't expect to be talking about this, but you can make like, I don't know, hairbrushes, like whatever. And there is a corner of the internet that is dedicated to that, right? There's a fetish for everything. So I understand some people love feet. But I've never gotten it at all. I can understand most things. I don't get the feet thing. I might just have Rex Ryan.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was a weird one. I might just have to find the which part of the internet has cue balls for guys. So you know what? If there's like 10 cents that you can make per hit, maybe that's where I got to go. So
there is. I guarantee you, there's a bald head something or other.
Yeah, too funny.
Yeah.
Right now the Edmonton Oilers, if you're looking for a good bet, play Alberta.ca. It's the Oilers right now because they are rolling number one. They're playing well. Pittsburgh's lost 4 in a row. 3 of them, the last 3 in overtime or a shootout. But the Oilers, no Malkin. The Oilers have won 4 in a row. And then you add in the fact that they have absolutely murdered the Penguins now for 7 straight. They've outscored them 37-9. Connor McDavid almost himself has doubled the production. He has 17 points in those 7 games. The Penguins have 9 goals. Zach Hyman has matched the whole production of the Penguins. Draisaitl has more. And then you just throw in walks. Their last 6 games, the Oilers have outshot them by an average of 13 goals per game.
I generally get this wrong. There are nights where I look at the Oilers and I'm like, okay, this is a 7-1 game. Like this is the game where they just blow them out of the water, like they did with Minnesota, except I didn't see that one coming. I usually get them wrong, but this one has all the feel of that, right? Like Pittsburgh's still an NHL team. They still got, Raquel's having a great season. Crosby, Russ, those are good players. They have pride. But Oilers are a wagon. They've been a wagon for 2 months now. And this Penguins team, they beat them 4-0 earlier in the season. And it was a bit of a get-right game for their offense. They had like 50 shots on goal. But that was like the Oilers won that game 4-0 or 5-0, whatever it was. And they could not, like they had played with no offensive confidence. Like that was in the span where they could not buy a goal. So like that was 25% Oiler productivity on offense, and they still won 4-0. If that team was like the team, we saw last year, the team that's clicking right now, that's a 9-0 game. I really think that. And it was only, quote unquote 4-0 that night.
Yeah.
Now that was back in October, I think.
Yeah, like it was, and they completely controlled that game. Like that was the Hall of Fame night, and it was from start to finish. Like the Oilers were all over them, and
I think it was scoreless after 1, and they had like 21 shots on goal.
It was. Yeah. And you're thinking, what's going on? But then they take over, and they're riding a 127-minute shutout streak right now. Like they've outscored them 14-1 in the last 3 games. Like it's not like it was 1 or 2 games. It's every game's been a blowout. And I don't know if you saw Connor McDavid or heard his pregame comments today. Like, oh yeah, we get really excited. Like McDavid normally doesn't even show a remote hint of excitement. And you could just tell, and then you throw in, he's got the Erie ceremony tomorrow night. Like, man, I think McDavid's going to have, McDavid, by his standards, hasn't had many, oh my God, wow nights this year compared to recent years. And that's not a bad thing. It just shows how good the team is.
Yeah. It's been a quiet, like, he had a couple helpers tonight, or just 1 goal, but the goal happened to be a big one, right?
Yes.
Tying the game late, or, the goal in Boston, that was pretty vintage McDavid the other night. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Right? He's the low man and then comes and ends up scoring on a breakaway. I don't know how that happens, but.
Well, he was the guy catching the guy in the breakaway one way. Tonight I sense this is one of those McDavid nights that Oilers fans know where he's just like dominant, start to finish.
Yeah. And he's always gotten excited to play Sid.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's funny because, McDavid and Sid, it's always pretty good. And then you kind of like, they beat them 7 times in a row. Because I remember when Sid came in and scored the OT winner, and for a while there seemed to get the better of McDavid, and then that narrative is flipped on its ear already. It's over.
Yeah. Oh God, no. Like early on, these are their records show the different teams. For the first 4 years of McDavid's career, they won 1 out of 8 games. The Penguins had won 2 Stanley Cups. They'd been a very good team. The Oilers have made the playoffs once in 4 years. They weren't very good. Since then, the Oilers are 8-1. They've won 7 in a row, and they're obliterating them. But the unique part is in the head-to-head 14 games, McDavid has 27 points. Sid has 7. Like, it really hasn't been close. Right? Like McDavid has taken over the mantle, no question. He took it over quite a few years ago from Crosby, but I think like the gap between McDavid and Crosby right now, as good as Crosby is, there's a significant gap between him and McDavid right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Sid has a bit of that LeBron thing. Like he's at the age where he should be on the downside on the back nine, and in a sense he is. But the fact that he's a couple years ago, Sid went through a stretch. Most of the Penguins did. Actually, it was midway through last year, I think. And you're like, man, this might be it. Like, curtains might be coming. Does he even make the next Olympic team or the Four Nations or whatever? And then I don't know. It was almost like a how do you describe it? Like the pride took over, and then Sid was unbelievable in the second half because he knew that people were starting to write him off. And he takes care of himself. He's well conditioned. I've never quite understood where Sid is right now with Pittsburgh. I don't get it because I guess you say the right things, but if the only thing he cares about is winning, then why Pittsburgh? Right. And if you want to be Lemieux, if you want to stay there your whole career, if you want to take over some ownership for Mario eventually, that's fine. But I've never quite gotten winning is all that matters. They are not even remotely close to winning anything there. And they won't as long as, for the rest of Sid's career.
Yeah. Oh, God, no. I've said it, Walks, and for a year that the best thing for the Penguins organization is to trade Sidney Crosby. And I get that he's loyal to the team and he wants to play there, but all they're doing is prolonging the inevitable that they're not going to be good. And the older Sidney Crosby gets, like if he waits until the final year of his next 2-year deal to get traded, well, what he's going to get back in a trade then is infinitely lower than that. If, for instance, Sidney Crosby, they said, you know what, we talked to Sid, he's willing to get traded. Now, obviously, he would get to pick and choose where he wants to go, but you would get him for this playoff run plus 2 more. He's under contract for 2 years. You know exactly what it is.
Yeah, at 8.7, which is nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you could get something significant. But you know what? And he's earned the right not to get moved, but like he's not going to compete. They're not going to be competitive. I'm sorry. Like they're not getting competitive.
I'm amazed that they're around 500, to be honest. Like I look at this team and I look at the lines, and I mean, thank God Raquel is bouncing back to have a 35-goal season this year. Rust is a nice player, but there's nobody else. Like this team sucks. They suck.
Oh God, no, they're not good, man.
Like Owen Pickering's a nice, look at me talk about Owen Pickering. He's like a nice little player on the blue line. They got another kid playing junior that should be good on the blue line. I forget his name. But yeah, no good. And okay, if Sid at 8.7, like Pittsburgh can hang on to him and sell jerseys until he's a corpse. That's fine. But the biggest mistake in all of this was, all right, Sid's there at 8.7, but and part of it is Sid's fault, right? No, I want the crew back. Letang, Malkin, everyone's back. Let's ride again. And then, Dubas got there and he got too excited and went and did the Carlson deal. Like that was an anchor as well. Right. But part of that, I mean, because Sid wants to win, he's a great player. He might not be a great general manager, right? Sometimes you got to make sure the players, as much as we love them, don't have that much power.
No. Sid has a lot, and we'll see. It's like I can understand one side of wanting to, you played there your whole career. That's all you know, and you won 3 Stanley Cups. You've had everything. Like there's not his legacy. I know nothing irks me more in hockey when his legacy. I'm like, what are you talking? Sidney Crosby retires today. Sidney Crosby's last 3 years of his career could score 60 or 70 points. It ain't changing anything in the grand scheme of things.
He has a handful of cups.
Yes,
he has a golden goal, all of that.
Yeah, so it's great. But I look at Sidney Crosby now. There's something to be said about he's comfortable. He knows his neighborhood. He knows everything. Everything's great. But there's also sometimes in life you can challenge yourself and try something different, and you don't know what you don't know by going somewhere else, and could be invigorated. And, a lot of people think, hey, go to Colorado. Him and McKinnon, they want to play together. Plus, they're a pretty good team. Sure.
Yeah.
I get all that, right?
Yeah.
So I just if I was Sidney Crosby, I'd talk to Ray Bourque and say, Ray, you were in Boston for a long time. He hadn't won.
Different.
Right?
Yeah, it's different. That's different.
But he still left there, and he didn't win the first time. Right?
No.
He won the second year, had to stay there. And, he had won. And so maybe Sid has the advantage because he's won. But just every guy who's won, You don't think he wants to win again?
Well, no, but Ray was also like done, right? Because when he won with Colorado, when Sakic passed him the cup, like Ray Bourque was still a top 10 defenseman in the league. Like it's not like he was playing bottom pair minutes. He was done. He wanted to retire and was hanging on. Like it was it. Like he had to win because he didn't want to play anymore. Right? Like he retired and they retired his jersey like the next year. He was still a top 10 defenseman in the league. Like people forget that about Ray Bourque,
no.
Right?
Well, Crosby's still a top 10 forward.
Well, exactly. I mean, the conversation would be different, obviously, if Sid hadn't won. And, you know, I've thought about this a lot, too. I think we talked about it the first time Pittsburgh came in through here. Like, let's say, you know, Sid's like, all right, I'm out. It would be such a weird, like in a weird way, you almost wouldn't want him in Edmonton. Like if you got him, you're winning.
Yeah, but Edmonton doesn't really need him.
Well, sure they. I mean, if like
honestly,
you could always
because they
could win without him. But you know what the narrative is? Even if he went to Colorado, all right, he's playing with his buddy, he's playing with his Nova Scotia buddy, and the Avs have already won. If Sid came here, start engraving the cup right now. That said, the narrative would be, oh, it's not McDavid's cup. He couldn't win until they got Sid. Like I know, it's
but
hypothetical.
I don't think Sid would guarantee the cup because Edmonton doesn't need another center. They've got two centers right now that are better than Sidney Crosby. Today, they are both better than Sidney Crosby.
Well, then Sid's your third line center. Good heavens.
Yeah, but at 8.7 mil, it doesn't financially make sense for your team, right? Like they got to improve the right pair defense more. So that's why Sid doesn't work in Edmonton. In Colorado, they need a second line center.
They need a lot of things. Yeah. No, it's true. But I look at this Penguins roster and like even forget Sidney for a second.
Dude,
there's five guys, like maybe five guys max that I could even say, yeah, I'd take him on the Oilers. Like Rust
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunting maybe.
Yeah, because if he's a little bit greasy.
Yeah. O'Connor maybe. That would be the only guy in the bottom six I would even shake a stick at. And then I would take Marcus Pettersson.
But Pettersson on your left side?
But yeah, and I was going to say I like Grzelcyk too, but that's it. Like there's nothing. There's three guys maybe that we could have a conversation about.
Yeah,
and I'm talking
actually,
at no cap hit.
You know who I would take? I would take Blake Lizotte as a fourth line center.
Yeah, he can improve the pace. Sure,
He's a hard guy to play against. You look at his numbers. Actually, I was looking up his numbers in Pittsburgh. They're getting murdered. They've allowed the most goals 5-on-5 in the NHL. Blake Lizotte has a 61% goal share 5-on-5. He's 13-8. He's only been on for 8 goals 5-on-5. They've allowed 108.
Yeah, and they hemorrhage chances.
Oh,
too.
they're brutal. Yeah, like second most shots against. Like the Edmonton Oilers, if they come to play tonight, this will be one of those. You know what the old Simpson? Oh my God! Stop the fight!
He's already dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Cross Mitsubishi pregame show, by the way, brought to you by our friends at Cross Mitsubishi. Visit them today. Drive your ambition, 9605 34th Ave and crossmitsubishi.ca. So all this Sid McDavid talk, over under for the River Cree Resort and Casino. Let's get to it right away so people have a chance to weigh in. Here's how it works. We give you a proposition, almost like a mini sports bet. You tell us over or under, gives you something to watch in the game. And if you're on the right side of it, you're entered in the draw for the $100 to the River Cree Resort and Casino, where you can catch all your favorite sports, including UFC, boxing, NFL playoffs, live on the big screens at Tap 25 and in the Center Bar. Visit rivercreeresort.com. This was so funny. I remember back to that October game. Oilers win 4-0. And the sports book that I bet on offered this and it's always a trap when they do this. I don't know how they're so smart. I don't know. I don't get it. I've never understood this. But they offered they boosted the odds. McDavid and Crosby both to get a point, and it was paying an absurd amount. So it's like an auto bet. You're like, of course. And of course it was 4-0. McDavid got one, and I don't even know if McDavid had one, to be honest. And Sid didn't. So I want to focus on that again. The Sid McDavid over-under on total points for both of them. Will it be like that game? I think there'll be more goals scored in this one. But we're going to set it at 2.5. So McDavid could do that by himself, obviously. McDavid and Crosby combined over or under 2.5 points. Give us a text on the text line, 1-833 401-1440.
Have you ever had 100% votes?
You mean on one way?
Yeah, like only one side.
No, never 100%, because here's how it works, right? Like, I think some of our the guys that are in on this all the time and want to win. It's not so much what you think it can happen. You're like, well, I have a way better chance to win if I'm one of the few people that pick under or whatever, right? Yeah. But generally speaking, as most sports betting goes, everyone says over, because then you're cheering for stuff to happen, right? The over-under the other night against Boston was a goal in the last 5 minutes, and there shouldn't have been, because it was 3-0, and then the Boston pulled their goalie and Arvidsson put it in. I also like, if you're into sports wagering, I love Arvidsson to score tonight at any time.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, like the Victor Arvidsson.
Ooh.
Ahead on the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show, more to talk about between the Oilers and Pens. Landon Ferraro, former NHLer, our game day analyst, going to join us in about 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll hear from head coach Chris Knobloch, as well as the Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins coming up at 5 p.m. Jason Gregor Show and the pregame show continues after this.
Pre-matchups are brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. For all your automotive needs, go to your trusted experts in high-quality parts, tools, equipment, and more. That's Napa know-how. The pre-game show is brought to you by Cross Mitsubishi. Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your ambition. 9605 34th Ave and crossmitsubishi.ca.
Cold, icy mornings, frozen windshield, snow in the forecast, and your vehicle won't start. You know what that means, Alberta. Winter is here. Don't get left out of the cold. Head to Napa Auto Parts today to gear up for the frosty months ahead. Winter won't wait, and neither should you. From premium batteries, starters, and alternators to high-quality wiper blades, antifreeze, and snow brushes, Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready and running. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or visit NapaCanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson, and I'm wondering, can your old furnace battle through another Edmonton winter? If not, replace it with an energy-efficient Daikin furnace installed by the pros from Weiss Johnson. Book now and receive free duct cleaning, or maybe a Daikin air conditioner instead. You'll also receive free duct cleaning. Daikin, the best warranty in the industry from Edmonton's industry-leading furnace company, Weiss Johnson. Visit wjaheats.com today.
Weiss Johnson.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by during the 2024 model clear-out and take advantage of January rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I'd like to thank all the people who buy new RVs. Buying your RV new is the most generous thing you can do to help your fellow man. Every year, thousands of people just like you go to the RV show or walk into a new RV store, pay full price, take great care of it like you always do, and then eventually sell it to us. And of course, we pay you market value for your used RV.
But that's tens of thousands less than you paid for it.
That's right, Bob. Could be half of what you paid for it when it was new. And it's still in great shape. So who gets the benefit of that reduced value? Our customers, that's who.
No Bull customers never pay full price for an RV because we only buy used.
Right again, Bob. So we'll enjoy the same RV you have now, only we pay like half as much. And it's only possible because you generously decided to pay that higher price when you bought it. So thanks again to all the new RV buyers, and we'll see you in a few years.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Courses of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 mostly Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118.
It's the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show with Andrew Walker on Edmonton's only 24/7 sports station. This is Sports 1440.
We roll through. Jason Gregor, Andrew Walker, Connor Halley with you. It is pregame show. Oilers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. No lineup changes for the Edmonton Oilers. Tonight, they're saying Malkin's a game-time decision, but looks like he's not going to be able to go. And it'll be Nedeljkovic versus Skinner.
The lineups brought to you by Nisku Ford here on the pregame show. The pre-starting lineups were all this month. You can take advantage of up to $9,000 in rebates or finance rates as low as 0%. Details at niskuford.ca. And then, on the other side, Raquel, Crosby, Rust. Pretty good line. And then, like we just talked about after that, Bunting, Glass, Beauvillier, O'Connor, Hayes, Puljujarvi. A lot of failed first-round picks on this team. Achari, Lizotte, Nieto, and Nedeljkovic and net. And that means I'm actually a little surprised. Not that it matters, but they're letting Josh Brown played well the other night.
Yep.
Back in again. Things got a little physical against Boston. Obviously, Perry had a fight, and Zadorov absolutely trucked Stuart Skinner, which we had an interesting conversation about that on the post-game show. For whatever reason, Josh Brown gets to... When you play well, it's hard to take a guy out, and he was fine that night. And you may as well, again, he's not going to win or lose games for you. You may as well see a little bit of what you have and let him get a little more comfortable, as they've done with Stetcher, as they've done with Emberson. Emberson's not coming out anytime soon.
No, and I think Josh Brown is, they signed him to a 3-year deal. Now, not Stan Bowman, but the organization, and obviously it didn't start very well for him. He brings a different element than Troy Stetcher does. Obviously, he's bigger, right? Stetcher's a better puck mover, has better skills, no question. And I think they just said, hey, you know what, Josh Brown being a good soldier here. So he comes up and, he did play really well in that game. I had no issues with how he played in that game. So, he'll stick in. I won't be surprised to see Troy Stetcher back soon. I don't think either one of them's the answer. And honestly, Walks, I won't be shocked that once they come out of this road skid, because they'll come home for 1, they're back on the road. When they get home for 6, I won't be surprised if Josh Brown goes back to the minors simply because of cap space.
Yeah. No, I would agree. It's it's one of the, I don't know. I thought the win the other night against Boston, if it wasn't, there's recency bias. It's a thing. To me, it was one of the most impressive games of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And if not the most impressive game of the season. Now, Boston kind of stinks. But you're used to Boston being Boston and Boston being tough to beat in Boston and everything like that. And they gave them nothing. They crushed them. Like, obviously the Minnesota game was really impressive. The first game against Pittsburgh, they carried the entire way. The game that they crushed the Canucks in Vancouver was really good. But I don't know, going into Boston and just squeezing the absolute life out of the Bruins. Like, was Pasternak playing? Was Marchand playing? That it was impressive to me. And Josh Brown was part of that. Not the biggest part, but why make any changes? This is a really interesting stretch, I think, for the Oilers. Like, they haven't spent a great deal of time on the road, and they already have the first 2 games on this trip. And tonight is a game that you should have, and same with Chicago. Like you can really get some momentum going here by having a really good road trip, and there's no reason why they can't.
Oh no, these next two games, Pittsburgh, although Chicago did beat them earlier in the season, so they're not going to take the Blackhawks lightly by any stretch. And knowing the Oilers, they got good memories. Players know, right? And they'll want to finish the road trip strong, because after that they got 6 straight games against playoff teams, which is and I outlined in my article today and on the show, like, records against the bottom feeders. Oilers have the second most wins in the league. Vegas has 19. Edmonton has 18. But Edmonton wants to improve the record against playoff teams. But like even the best team in the West is like 11-7-1. Like it's not like you're dominating the playoff teams like you can do the non-playoff teams.
Yeah, exactly. And even the Oilers have done a great job, like you said, of beating these non-playoff teams and the record. But there's still some losses in there. Like people got to realize that bad teams beat good teams all the time. I've always said to fans, like, it's important, like you gotta watch other games, not just the Oilers. It gives you some perspective. And if Anaheim beats Tampa or Montreal beats Colorado on a given Tuesday, which happens all the time, we don't blink at it, right? You just read the scores in the morning and see how your hockey pool guys did. And then Edmonton loses the odd one to Chicago or Philly or whomever, and people freak out. But listen, good teams lose to bad teams all the time. I don't expect it to happen tonight, but it happens.
Oh, 100%. And that's why Vancouver is in the situation they're in. They are 12-7-7 versus non-playoff teams this year. They've only won 12 of 26. They've played the most games so far against non-playoff teams. They've only played 14 games against playoff teams.
Who's this?
Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
Like they have a tougher schedule.
They're tough to figure out. Like even they have 10 overtime losses. So do they get credit because they're always in games, or is their record totally inflated because they get 10 free points?
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know.
Let's ask our analyst.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Who does a lot of work for the Vancouver Canucks. And here as well, Landon Ferraro, former NHLer. Brought to you by Honda Canada. Need more power and efficiency in your lineup? Meet Honda's 2025 Civic, Accord, and CRV hybrids. Visit prairiehonda.ca. I would have talked for the next 15 minutes. I forgot you were on the line. How's it going?
Not too bad, and that does not surprise me.
Yeah, that was like your old coaches. Like, I'd get you back in the lineup, but I forgot you were on the team. So,
Hey, that's why you got to be smart. You park your butt right in the middle of that bench, and every couple seconds you look over your shoulder like, hey, I'm still here. I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about the Oilers, but yeah, fill us in on Vancouver. I mean, this is classic Canucks. It's never boring. A, are they going to trade Pettersson here? And B, the fact they always lose in overtime, does that mean they're close, or should they be like, this should be a lottery team at this point?
No, I would look at it as, I mean, you have to define what the word close is meaning in this sentence. I think that they're a playoff team. I think that they've done a pretty good job considering everything that they've had to deal with and are continuing to deal with. The fans and market here would have expected a couple of those overtimes to be a win. It's been tough sledding when it gets to extra time, but I think the guys have done a pretty good job considering the pieces that have left. And, they already knew they needed to add at least a defenseman coming into the season. And then for parts of it, they've been without their top two. Like, it's a tough situation, but they're holding water and trying to just kind of survive until, Hirona can get back, Pettersson gets back in, and they see what management ends up doing here.
What do you make of Rick Tocchet's comments about how Pettersson was cleared to play, but he wouldn't play, where Quinn Hughes is playing with a brace on his hand in 27 minutes? I know, and maybe, cleared to play doesn't mean you're ready to play game shape. I don't know, but how do you think that's received in that room, Landon?
I mean, it is interesting. There's been some conversations over the past while of kind of things like that, like the year-end meetings last year. They talk with Pettersson and everyone's saying, no, I don't have an injury. Filip Hronek clearly had some sort of upper body injury, which, was an elbow and wasn't able to use that, hard shot that he has. And he says to the media, no excuse. I have nothing. And then Pettersson right away says that he has his knee issue. And, it's something where I took it as more like he is medically cleared, but he's not quite ready. But with all the comments that have been coming out from management and other parts, like there is some extra stuff going on here. What am I ready to say that it's going to be this player that's going to be gone or that player? Not a chance, but they're definitely like there's something that's going to be going on here.
Well, I mean, this is just an opinion, right? And I worked in Vancouver. I was there when they drafted Pettersson, blah blah blah. And this is if I'm running the Canucks, if you can get value for Pettersson, like if someone out there likes him, oh my God, trade him. I've had a bad feeling about this guy for years. It was wasn't a very popular take in Vancouver because he was a good young player and basically got death threats on social media for saying that I don't think Pettersson is that much of a guy that you win with. I mean, give me Miller has his issues, but give me a guy like Miller or Quinn Hughes any day. I don't know, man. Pettersson to me is a classic guy that gets his money and it's always an excuse. And one of these days he'll wake up and hockey will be the most important thing. I don't think it is right now. He's the guy I move. That's just me. I just think you cut your losses and you try to get a nice return for him.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part is what does that return entail, really? Like, what is enough for a young forward that's put up 100 goals or 100-point season? Like, it's hard to find what you're going to be okay with because in almost every circumstance, you're not, just off of the names, you're not winning that trade, just from the fan base and everything. So, like, you have to be super confident in the pieces that are coming back that either quickly or over time that they really prove to be worth it because it's a tough one to come back from. But, this Canuck team, it was, another piece is Dakota Joshua, who is, he had off season, he gets diagnosed with testicular cancer, has surgery, and it's taking him quite a while to really get his game back. And he started showing signs in the last 2 games, and then he ends up going out. And will be out for a few games. So, like, they need some more grit for sure. Like last night, Quinn Hughes gets into it with Pierre-Luc Dubois a little bit, and it was nice to see, like, Sherwood right in there. And then Wilson comes in, and Miller comes over the top rope and wrestles him to the ground. Like, the Canucks need a bit more of that fire together and sticking up for each other. And, like, that's how they're going to have to win. Like, the Oilers right now can play with a ton of speed, a ton of confidence, and they're rolling as a unit, but the Canucks, like, they need to grind out wins a bit more. Like, it's not the pretty wins of last year, that's for sure.
Yeah, Landon Ferraro joins us on the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show for Honda Canada. All right, no more Canuck talk. I'm going to throw up here in the studio, and that's Greg.
I thought I escaped it. I thought I was coming to an Oilers chat.
Yeah, no, here. Greg doesn't want me puking here in studio. The Oilers, where are we at with the Oilers, quote unquote, depth scoring? I think it's an interesting conversation because the year started with, well, nobody's scoring, right? And you're getting 5 or 6 goals out of Perry, and that's really nice, but it was Draisaitl and nobody else. And who number 1 and number 2 are going to be on this team. And then it's weird because it's like everybody else, they don't have one guy that's having like last year Hyman had a career season. The year before Nuge had a career season. And this year it's like those two and everyone else has been not bad, but like they might lead the league in 40-point guys. Like it's an interesting, like I think the depth scoring has actually kind of been there, just not in a way that you'd expect, right? Like, Kulak scores and then Podkolzin scores and Henrique gets a couple the other night. Connor Brown's had his runs. In a weird way, it's like they have more depth than they've ever had.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to kind of allude to a bit more. Like looking at it, it's not like exactly what you said. Like it's not like Hyman last year who comes out and has a breakout crazy season. Like it's different depth guys at different times having their 2 or 3 game stretch where they kind of take off. Like Connor Brown had his, Henrique had his 2 goals. Like Kapanen, when he first got here, gets injected in and kind of pops off right away, having a little extra help. Skinner had his couple games in a row, right? Like, so they're not all doing it. Like and I don't mean this as a knock, like no one's doing it consistently in the bottom 6, but they're taking their turns and it's working that way. And I think that's honestly like a pretty good way to go about it. If you're obviously you'd love to have four lines that are consistently chipping in and everything's great, but if you have a mix of guys in the bottom six that they're each kind of taking their turn, like it almost takes the pressure off. Like they know someone's going to be able to step up, and it's okay, it's that guy's night tonight. Like you're still pushing it, obviously, but like it's nice to be able to spread that around a little bit.
Landon Ferraro joins us. Landon, you mentioned the pushback. Where'd you come out on the Zadorov play? Did somebody on the ice? Now he was already down on the ice, so you can't really even scrum him. Should someone have jumped on him at that point? I know Brown came over afterwards and was up on the glass, basically, but hey, we're gonna go, and then nothing happened. But did you want more of a reaction, or is that a guy just going to the net that's not necessarily purposeful?
I mean, it's one of those. That he knew where he was on the ice. Like it didn't completely surprise him that all of a sudden he's face to face with the goalie, but it's also one of those like who's going to run in there?
Yeah.
Like that is a pretty big human, and it's one of those issues of okay, like say I'm the closest guy there. Like I want to go stick up for my team, my teammate, show him that I'm there for him, but okay, now I take 6 rights to my face and I'm out of the lineup. Like that's not helping either. Like that's where I think it's more by committee. You need to have that pushback instantly the next shift. And every time someone touches a puck, regardless of who it is, like you take a pretty good run at them.
Okay.
And you go back that way. That's how I would do it, because I mean, at the end of the day, who's jumping up and going to do at least an okay job where it's not a complete risk of that guy?
Yeah. Well, do you remember who was on the ice, Greg's?
Oh, well, yeah. Bouchard and Kulak, so no. And Kulak's good as a light middleweight. We've seen it had pretty good tilt, but Zadorov's huge. Then Janmark got hurt. Remember, he fell down?
Yes. Yep.
And Kapanen was on the ice. And who was the I don't even know who the other center was, but it was nobody. The only guy in the line, obviously, if Josh Brown was on the ice, he could do it. Darnell Nurse could do it. That's it. It's
a tough one, and the ref's hand was up right away, so you're getting a penalty, but it was, or a power play, I should say. It was. I didn't like it though. Like it's tough because you can't just give him a major, but there's no such thing you can't like just give a double minor because you feel like it. I felt it was worse than a minor, and probably not a major. Like Zadorov did a pretty good job, pretending, but man, he trucked Skinner, and he was not like, I don't care what anybody says, Kulak did not push him in. Like that was, it was, he knew what he was doing.
Like you're playing in the NHL. I mean, hell, guys, the majority of guys in beer league know, like when you're driving wide, like the net hasn't moved in a very long time. Like, the dimensions of the ice, you're cutting, like, it's one thing when the guy ends up kind of going into the post because he thinks he can get out front. But when you hit the guy square in the crease, like, again, the net has not moved in a couple of years now.
Landon Ferraro joins us for Honda Canada here in the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show. All right, the matchups for Napa Auto Parts. Landon, for all your automotive needs, go to your trusted experts in high-quality parts, tools, equipment, and more. That's Napa know-how. The last time these two teams played, Oilers were in their worst little offensive stretch we've seen in years. Nobody could score. They had 20-some shots in the first period. It was still scoreless. They won 4-0. If they play that game today, they score 8 or 9. And Pittsburgh, it's not like they're competing for first overall. Oilers have beaten them 7 straight times. What about the Penguins game and the Oilers game has matched up so favorably for Edmonton?
I think it's the speed. Like Pittsburgh isn't the fastest team out there, and majority of their better players are a bit on the older side now, and it feels weird saying that. Like I'm talking about Sidney Crosby, still just unbelievable, but like foot speed isn't what the Oilers have. Like when McDavid and Draisaitl and the way that the rest of the guys can really use each other getting up the ice and advancing the puck north quickly, like that's where Pittsburgh gets into a bit of trouble. Like they want a bit more structure, they want to get it in and really kind of sit into the grind a bit more. But again, like if you attack the speed in that D with speed, like it's going to be a favorable night. You're going to give yourself at least some really good looks.
Well, you look at Edmonton, and it's the speed is one thing, but Pittsburgh cannot defend off the rush. You look at how, they give up way too many shots and goals 5-on-5. But in today's NHL, there's so much speed in the game. If you can't defend the rush, Landon, you're pretty much done. Like Chris Knobloch, when he took over, his number one thing was we got to limit our chances off the rush. And we've seen it. The Oilers are one of the worst rush teams. Now they're one of the best. They don't give up chances off the rush, which just happens to be Stuart Skinner's biggest weakness, according to Kevin Woodley, is goals off the rush. So they limit those chances. His numbers are better. And I look at Pittsburgh tonight, and I look down the middle. Like Sid can't skate with McDavid. No one can, but Sid definitely can at his stage. Cody Glass now with Malkin out has to be their second line center against arguably the hottest player in the NHL in Leon Draisaitl. Like, it's such a mismatch.
Yeah. And that's where I'm talking, like the way that, McDavid can just fly up by himself, but for the other guys, like they use each other so well advancing the puck. Like it's not like guys are just set up on islands when the puck gets moved with a longer stretch pass. Like there's always support coming underneath with speed, or they're able to just make that little soft chip behind the D that's standing up, at the red or far blue line to another player that's coming with speed. Like that's where, again, like the Oilers have the advantage, making those Pittsburgh D really have to defend, have to turn. Letang and Carlson aren't exactly, gunning for defensive player of the year. And for the other guys, like it's just about getting their feet to turn and try and keep up to that pace. And that's where the Oilers really, again, can take advantage.
Landon, we'll talk to you on the post-game show, man. Thanks for this. Oh,
Yep,
hey, before I let you go, I should read this for you. It was Mark on the text line says, oh, no, not Mark. It was, now I got to find it. Now I got to find it. Kieran on the text line says, it's wild to hear Landon on the radio here in Edmonton. I remember seeing him on TV with a behind the scenes with Ray in 2002 tying his skates. Yeah, I don't know what you might remember it. Well, maybe not, but yeah, I'm sure he made a lot of appearances in the old TV stories.
Yeah, I mean, I was attached to my dad's hip whenever he let me come to the rink. So if there was a chance for me to go out, and then I was definitely gonna get on the ice. So that sounds about right. I definitely took advantage as much as I could.
When you were a kid, like so you're going to the rink with your dad. What player over his career do you remember the most? In terms of giving you the time of day.
Danny Heatley. I would not leave that guy's back pocket in Atlanta. I mean, he wasn't that much older than me, really, if you look back at it.
Did he live with you?
No, he never lived with us, but he was my dad's. My dad always had his own room even before that was kind of a thing. Like he was one of the older guys in Atlanta, so they would always make sure. But when Heatley came in, he ended up being his roommate on the road and kind of helping him out. But man, I must have gotten 20 sticks from Heatley. Every game I'd be in there stealing something from him. But no, he treated me great, and that was someone that I always looked up to.
Landon, we'll talk to you the post-game show, bud. Thanks for this.
Yep, have a good one.
All right, Landon Ferraro for Honda Canada. Need more power and efficiency in your lineup? Meet Honda's 2025 Civic Accord and CR-V hybrids. Visit prairiehonda.ca. You know where the Penguins missed? I want to see the Glass Puljujarvi Beauvillier line. I want to see the all bust line. Put those three together.
Yeah. Cody Glass was the 6th overall pick. I think it was one of the first picks in Vegas history.
Speaking of Pettersson, it was funny because Pettersson was an excellent draft pick, and his I don't know what's going on with him, but he's becoming a bit more of a villain than I would have anticipated. But everyone in Vancouver wanted
Cody Glass instead of
and they just ripped. I mean, they ripped on Jim Benning for everything, of course, but they ripped on him on draft day as well because Cody Glass was sitting right there, and they took Elias Pettersson, which most people had never heard of. And boy, you redo that draft again. I don't, now he might be traded. Who knows? But Pettersson's right up there as maybe not first, obviously, but second or third in that draft, probably. The Heischer, Makar.
Yeah, Kalen Makar's number one for sure.
Heiskanen, for sure.
Heiskanen's probably number 2.
Probably, yeah.
Oh God, he is so. Heiskanen just doesn't have the offensive numbers of Makar and Hughes, but man, I could make an argument that as a number one defenseman in the playoffs, Heiskanen might be more valuable because he's better defensively than both of them.
Yeah, and then the Oilers.
And he's bigger.
The Oilers took Heiskanen's lunch money in that series, but they also did that with Quinn Hughes.
Yes,
the
no
Oilers
one talks about
the
it.
Oilers ran through some really good D
Yes.
last year, and again, and Evan Bouchard was better than both those guys.
Yeah, Evan Bouchard, like last year in the playoffs, he was definitely better than both of them. There's no question.
Yeah. Am I taking the other two? Sure.
Yes.
But
Bouchard's advantage.
Give credit where it's due.
And what Bouchard has shown is the last two postseasons. Because if there's, I think if you ask most Oilers fans, you get one thing that irks you at times about Bouchard, and they're going to say he looks lackadaisical. That's what it is. Like goes back for pucks here, is a little bit nonchalant. In the playoffs, he hasn't had that the last 2 years. He has really elevated his game. I've seen him in scrums, and so he's shown he can. I don't expect Bouchard to do that every game in the regular season. It's pointless. But the advantage that he has over both Hughes and Makar is that he's 6'3". And when you have a good skill set, and the skill set is close, he's not as mobile specifically laterally than Makar or Hughes, no question about it. And even in a straight line, he's not as good. But his size and his shot and his thinking. And he showed an increased in competitiveness. Like his pilot light was on every game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
I understand. Like, man, you go into any bar or any rec hockey beer league room, and man, the guys that will yell about Bouchard, and I get it. I understand. This is a hard town. People like physical play, tough play. I understand how Bouchard could irk people, and there's a worry. There's a little worry that it's a bit of nurse PTSD, I guess, that they give him too much money and it's an anchor. But like you cannot lose sight of what he does well, and you can't argue with what he's done.
Yeah,
right. Like last year in the playoffs, outplaying Bouchard or outplaying Hughes and outplaying Heiskanen and scoring. Like if he doesn't score those 2 goals in that series against Vancouver, they're not winning that series. They're losing to the Canucks.
Yeah,
right. Like huge.
Well, and the other thing is, Nurse isn't an anchor. I want to clarify that. Nurse is probably $1 million overpaid. And you can crunch all the numbers. Dom did his whole thing. He came up at like 8.4. And I said, okay. So
when Nurse was at his worst, it looked a little daunting.
Sure.
But he's gotten better.
But
right?
the thing is, even at his worst, it was a short time. Because last year, he was great from November until the break. And then after the All-Star break, for whatever reason, hit the ditch. But every other year of his career, up until his new deal, he always overachieved. He was better value than any contract he ever had. And I always tell people, so if you would have signed for $8.4 million, A, you can barely get a player for that. It's league minimum difference. And B, Darnell Nurse signing was the catalyst, was the starting point. The organization was showing Connor McDavid, we want your core guys here.
Yep.
And if you had to overpay Darnell Nurse $1 million to get Connor McDavid for 8 more years, you would make that investment all day, every day for the rest of your life. And anybody who doesn't understand it only has narrow-minded and looks at one thing. They don't look at the whole picture.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I laughed. I was at a wedding on the weekend, and the bride and groom, both big hockey fans. I don't know how smart of hockey fans, but they watch every Oilers game, and they like in their like not the vows, but like in their speeches, they were ripping on Darnell Nurse. I was like, man, this guy does not deserve this in the city. It's crazy. All right. The Cross Mitsubishi pregame show continues. When we come back, we're going to hear from the head coach, Chris Knobloch, here on Sports 1440. Stay with us.
The pregame show is brought to you by Cross Mitsubishi. Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your ambition. 9605 34th Ave and crossmitsubishi.ca.
Customers rely on you to keep their refrigeration systems running smoothly. So when they have downtime, you have stress time. Time to call on Easy Chill Rentals. Easy Chill will help ensure your customers' trust during maintenance or emergency repair downtime, so they stay cool. Easy Chill provides mobile walk-in coolers and freezers to customers all over Western Canada. For sales and rentals, don't sweat it, just chill with Easy Chill Rentals. Visit easychillrentals.com today.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
With Johnson, whoa. Proud to be local and value. I'm gonna speak for the day. With Johnson, whoa. Striving to bring you a comfortable home. With Johnson, whoa.
Familiar flavors meet a refreshing new twist at the Varsity. Nestled in White Mud Crossing, the Varsity boasts a delicious menu filled with your favorites, like endless forever fries with every burger, crafted with a unique new touch. Enjoy the welcoming atmosphere you know and love. Now with fresh, locally sourced ingredients and exciting new choices. And the best part is, your wallet will be happy too. Order online at varsityburgers.ca or visit the Varsity today and discover how something new can feel oh so wonderfully familiar.
Listen to over 500 radio stations from anywhere in Canada with Radio Player Canada, the must-have app that's as Canadian as you are. Friendly, ready to party, great company. Enjoy every type of radio station, anywhere, anytime. Listen through your phone, Sonos, Google Chromecast, Google Home, Amazon Echo, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. Download the Radio Player Canada app today. It's where Canadian radio plays.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Camp Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at camtorque.com.
You're listening to Andrew Walker and the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show on Sports 1440.
Jason Gregor, Andrew Walker, Connor Halley with you. Oilers, Penguins tonight as the Oilers look to win their 5th in a row for the second time this season. Penguins winless in 4. They lost to Detroit, and then they've lost their last 3 games in overtime or a shootout, and no lineup changes for the Oilers after that almost flawless, perfect game against Boston. Excuse me.
Yeah, 4-0 win. I think we all expect more goals tonight. They always seem to score against Pittsburgh, but this Oilers offense, as good as it is, has not exploded like we've seen in years past. They're getting it done in a lot of these games with team defense, and Skinner's playing great, coming off a shutout. We'll see what he does tonight. Chris Knobloch, Oilers head coach, talked about what he's seeing from his team defensively.
Well, a lot of that is the penalty kill, how well the penalty kill's been, not giving up that extra goal tonight. And I think a lot of credit to the defense. They've been doing a great job of, defending, but the best way to defend is not having to defend. I think our puck movement has been good and not making mistakes. But I think also the biggest thing is when your goals are down, it's usually the last guy, and that's our goaltending, and both of them have been really good.
All right, Coach's interview is always on the pregame show, brought to you by Easy Chill Rentals, providing mobile walk-in coolers and freezers for sales and rentals. Don't sweat it. Just chill. EasyChillRentals.com. It is the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show. Before we throw it back to Greg's, a look at the injury report for Titan Supply, your number one source for rigging supplies in Western Canada. Lift, dig, haul, titansupply.ca. For the Penguins, no Evgeny Malkin, so that's a big one. Means Cody Glass is their second-line center. Good luck to him. And no Phil Tomasino has actually been pretty good since coming over to Pittsburgh, but he is on the IR as well. For the Oilers, it is only Evander Kane. That is the injury report for Titan Supply.
Yeah, and there's no update on Kane. Like they don't have any timeline on to know. Like they had like massive surgeries. When you think about 2 repaired hernias, torn abductors, who knows if he's going to return for the regular season? And they want to know if he's ready or not by the end of the season. They want to know that before the deadline, because if he isn't, they got a lot. He can put him on LTIR. They got lots of cap space then.
Yeah, it's not, and I get it. People look at, Mark Stone and Kucherov, and it's not this thing where it's like, no, just pretend and sit him out, and then you get a free player. It's not that simple. In a perfect world, maybe they get a free player, but yeah, he's coming back from a lot.
Yeah, and who knows, like, when he comes back, how good he's going to be, right? Like, Kucherov came back. Like, Stone came back last year. He was okay. Kucherov was unreal, but Kucherov's top 5 player in the league, right? So Kane could come back and probably be physical, his timing, everything else. I don't know. Like, now it's a different injury, but Connor Brown is the prime example of what happens when a player comes back and is healthy enough to play,
but not healthy enough.
Isn't like they don't have the explosiveness, right? And if Evander Kane doesn't have speed to his game, then he can't get in on the forecheck. He can't be physical.
And he's not playing. Like, I'd be very, very surprised if we get into the playoffs and Evander Kane is playing top 6, right?
No.
If he's back and can, bang and crash in your bottom 6, that's it's a win. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He is not. They're not looking at him to be. I think they'll pencil him in to be a bottom 6, and if he plays great enough and moves in their top 6, well, that's a bonus. You just got more depth.
Kind of funny. Like, he's been a bit of an underrated Oiler. Like, anybody else scored 12 to 15 goals in a playoff run a couple of times. Like, you'd have almost your parades in your honor, right? And that's what he's done since coming on board.
Yeah, he had 2 really good playoff years, no question.
That's it for me. Another hour from you, and more Oilers talk on the way. We will be back with the post-game show
right after
Ridge
the
Social Eatery,
final,
right after the final buzzer.
whistle.
Yeah,
and Oilers victorious tonight. I think a lot of people are expecting that, but that's why they play the games. You never know. There are a few playoff versus non-playoff matchups tonight that look like it should go that way. The Islanders, of course, are taking on Vegas, and you've got I guess Boston is a playoff team right now, but they don't look very good. The Devils and the Rangers, that's another one. You got the Stars and the Flyers. Also, Cam Fowler facing off against his former team, the Anaheim Ducks, tonight. And the Avalanche going back-to-back after a disappointing loss in Chicago last night. So I'm curious to see how they look. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace, legacyheating.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
Game day, the Oilers in action, taking on the Penguins down in Pittsburgh. Puck drop about 10 minutes away. Once it wraps up, Andrew Walker, Donovan Paulson of your post-game coverage. Elsewhere, Flyers hosting the Stars, the Devils in New York taking on the Rangers, Bruins and Lightning, Sens host the Sabres, Kraken head to Columbus, Hurricanes up against the Leafs, the Ducks in St. Louis, Wild host the Avs, and the Islanders head to Sin City. In the association, the Raptors travel to Cleveland, take on the 32-4 Cavaliers. That gets going in about 5 minutes time. You also have the Pistons and Warriors, Timberwolves in Orlando. Mavs host the Blazers, Grizz up against the Rockets, and the Heat take on the Jazz. College football playoff tonight. Number 6 Penn State taking on number 7 Notre Dame down in Miami. That gets going at 5:30. And from the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders firing general manager Tom Telesco after 1 season. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll talk Oilers and look at the Broncos with their sideline reporter, Susie Worgan. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Touch base on the Weiss Johnson text line. 1-833-401-1440. Free duct cleaning with your Daikin furnace or AC installation. Daikin, the best warranty in the industry. Visit WJHeats.com.
What keeps Alberta business moving? It's pallets, whether you're shipping, manufacturing, or looking for in-house storage solutions. Hi, it's Andrew with the Pallet Recycler here in Edmonton, and we've been providing reliable, affordable, recycled, and custom pallets for local businesses for the past 30 years. Contact the Pallet Recycler at 825-474-1981 to find out why recycled pallets are the most cost-effective way to move and store your product. Learn about our recycling program as well at thepalletrecycler.ca.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Are you an HVAC or refrigeration company stressed about meeting your customers' temporary refrigeration needs? No need to worry. The solution is easy. Think Easy Chill Rentals. For repair, maintenance, or even special events, Easy Chill Rentals guarantees you a no-hassle, short or long-term solution for your refrigeration needs. Easy Chill provides mobile walk-in coolers and freezers to customers all over Western Canada. For sales and rentals, don't sweat it, just chill. With Easy Chill Rentals, visit easychillrentals.com today.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the 2 best names in work, biker, and Western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Food.
I love it.
That's
Speaking of
Diablo
over and
Boots,
over again,
3340
Jeff, there are
Caitlin
times where
Boulevard
teams
on the east side of Save on Foods.
I'm
Jeff,
Rick Showers from No Bull RV.
Jeff,
And I'd
there
like
are
to
times
thank
where
all
teams
the
just
people
have the
who
other
buy
team's
new
number,
RVs.
right?
Buying your RV new is the most generous thing you can do to help your fellow man. Every year, thousands of people just like you go to the RV show or walk into a new RV store, pay full price, take great care of it like you always do, and then eventually sell it to us. And of course, we pay you market value for your used RV.
But that's tens of thousands less than you paid for it.
That's right, Bob. Could be half of what you paid for it when it was new. And it's still in great shape.
Ames, you
so
said
who
it
gets the
just wanted
benefit
to-
of that
Yeah.
reduced value? Our
You know,
customers, that's
well, I
who.
mean, at the end of
Noble
it,
customers
I mean,
never
you
pay
Frank have
full
talked
price
about
for
it
an
on the
RV
podcast,
because
like,
we only buy used.
Right again,
slow
Bob.
team.
So we'll enjoy the same RV you have now, only we pay like half as much. And it's only possible because you generously decided to pay that higher price when you bought it. So thanks again to all the new RV buyers, and we'll see you in a few years.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's pretty snowy. 5:05. Welcome back. Oilers on the road in Pittsburgh. It's snowy Pittsburgh today. So they're feeling even more comfortable. If you're the Edmonton Oilers, you leave it. You're home, you got a lot of snow, you get into Pittsburgh, you've been winning 2 in a row, you're playing great, and you're like, oh, it's snow, it's hockey weather. It's awesome. No lineup changes for the Oilers. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. It is, of course, Thursday and the Daily Grand, where you can win $1,000 a day for the next 20 years. That's a total of $7.2 million. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. We have lots of texts, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, JG, thanks for the straight talk and the medical condition of Kane. I listen to various shows, and they always dance around it. Again, thanks from Jumpin' Jack Flash. Well, yeah, okay, well, I appreciate that. I'm like, there's nothing, it's not private, right? Kane was the one who outlined everything. He was very honest. I had double hernia surgery. I had the 2 abductors, right? Like, lots of torn core muscles. Like, it's a significant injury. Like, I know I saw some people saying, I saw Kane walking. Well, yes, he can walk, but that doesn't mean he can play professional sports. Most of us can walk. Doesn't mean we can play professional sports, right? Like and like the explosiveness that's required in hockey, like boom, it's just quick. And you got all your core muscles and everything there. It's got to heal. So no, he is earliest best case scenario is March. And that's probably just to get back skating on a regular basis. So to me, the most fascinating part of the Kane situation will be, do they use the very rare rule, which is totally within the rules, that when you activate a player off LTIR, and normally when you go on a conditioning stint down to the minors, you are on the active roster, you go down. So technically you have now 22 roster spots to fill. You count against the cap. But when you've been on LTIR for a significant period of time, which Kane has, you can go on a conditioning stint where you don't count on the roster. You're just on an LTIR conditioning stint. And you actually, so that allows you to be down there. You can play 3 games, but you can actually apply for an extension. So in theory, the Edmonton Oilers could send Kane down on August 5th. He could go down, play his 3 game. I'd have to look at Bakersfield's. Let me pull it up right now and look at their schedule for the Condors in the month of April and find out. Okay, could he get into to any games? So I'm looking at their April schedule, and they play on the 5th, 6th, and the 9th. So let's say, because the order season wraps up on the 17th or 16th, I think it is, the Wednesday. So that would be, let's say, if he goes down on the 7th, he could play on the 9th and the 11th and the 12th, 3 games. You could ask for an extension. He could play again on the 16th. And then the Oilers' regular season is over. He could come back up. He's played 4 games in the American League. Wouldn't count against the cap because he wasn't on your active roster. You could do it. All legal, all allowed. Just one of those rare things. So we'll see what happens with Evander Kane and in his health situation. How good's he going to be? Honestly, I don't know. I just say I think its best expectation is to plan that he is a third line guy, maybe even fourth line to start, bottom 6, and then if he plays well, bonus, and now your team's just deeper. But don't plan to have him a top 6, and then he's not a top 6, and you're like, geez, we don't know what we're doing with our top 6. Which, you know what, like they got Pod Coles in there now, they like him, you know what he brings. And they kind of go from there. So it is to me, it's pretty fascinating to see what would happen with Evander Kane if and when he's ready to return. A few texts coming in: 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Greg's, I heard you talk about the Oilers' record against Pittsburgh. Do you know what their longest winning streak against one franchise is? Off the top of my Nashville, I can look it up. But off the top of my head, I don't know what their longest streak would be. So a team record, longest winning streak versus one team. That's a good question. I'd have to I'll look it up during the break and see if I can find that. So it's around the media site at the NHL. It has it, so I'd have to go look at it. But I know some teams have been like 14 or 15. I think I think the NHL record might even be 17 against one franchise over the course of multiple seasons. So we'll see from there. It's a good question, but it's definitely more than 7 for sure. Hey, boys, I just wanted to use the Kane rule for the hilarity of it for Morgan. Would it not cause massive outrage? And to me, a little bit of the funny part would be a lot of the Oilers fans who are screaming, "Oh, man, this is terrible." They'd be like, "Oh, I like this." Right? And I always caution, you don't want to be the person who screams about it when someone else does it, and then it's okay when you do it. Because no one broke a record. A rule. Kucherov was legit hurt. He had surgery, had a major surgery. Now, did they time it well so he comes back? Yes, they did. Nothing against it. That's what they did. Could Kucherov have played a week earlier? Probably. He could have. But why rush it? If you can use it to your advantage, why rush it? We all say all the time, hey, this guy's hurt, don't rush him back. So I can understand why a team would do it. It was very smart. 100% it was smart. So 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I really enjoyed the interview you had with Matt Savoy yesterday. I'm curious, do you think they would consider recalling him and give him a chance to be their left winger in the top 6 from Daniel? Personally, I do not. I think they look at Matt Savoy as a 20-year-old rookie player who's starting to hit his stride. He has 12 points in his last 7 games. It's great. After having 12 points in his first 22. So that's a real good improvement. But he's a rookie guy. So why wouldn't you just kind of take your time, let him keep developing? He could get a few games maybe late in the year. But I don't believe 20-year-old rookies are going to be the impact guys you want in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. Like, I know people say, well, Gregor, they called up Logan Stankoven. Okay. Was he an impact guy? He was okay, yeah. But also a different player than Matt Savoy. And now look at Stankoven this year. He's struggling, right? Like, he came in, it was hot, everything was working awesome. And so in theory, could you do it? Yes. Do I think because it happened to one guy that it's going to work for other guys? No. So it's not just that easy, is the way I would look at it. I think it's and why would I do it? That's that would be my question. Why would I want to put all that pressure on a young Matt Savoy to kind of be a guy who, because if you're a top 6 player in the playoffs, you're expected to do a lot. Right? So if you just look at the line, like, does he forecheck like Podkolzin? Is he going to do what Podkolzin does on that line? Right? That's not his game at all. He's a more cerebral player for sure. So I if it's me, I'd want the Oilers to just keep developing in the minors, let him dominate, let him play in the playoffs in the American League. Man, that's tough enough. It's a hard league. It's a real hard league. So that's what I think would be the best for him. He learns, he comes in next year, and he has a real competition to make the team. That's what I would want, and I think that would be the best possible scenario for sure. 833-401-1440. Take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk some playoffs, baby. The playoffs are here. Also, Oilers, of course, taking on the Penguins. And we got Merrick as well on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the Car Wash Pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com. You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game. But out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction, because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously, and even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start the new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen TVs, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a queen spring wall Euro top for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Is it Riverside Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong. Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I'd like to thank all the people who buy new RVs. Buying your RV new is the most generous thing you can do to help your fellow man. Every year, thousands of people just like you go to the RV show or walk into a new RV store, pay full price, take great care of it like you always do, and then eventually sell it to us. And of course, we pay you market value for your used RV.
But that's tens of thousands less than you paid for it.
That's right, Bob. Could be half of what you paid for it when it was new. and it's still in great shape. So who gets the benefit of that reduced value? Our customers, that's who.
Noble customers never pay full price for an RV because we only buy used.
Right again, Bob. So we'll enjoy the same RV you have now, only we pay like half as much. And it's only possible because you generously decided to pay that higher price when you bought it. So thanks again to all the new RV buyers, and we'll see you in a few years.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. Promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:20. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as it's time to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, where you can take action on your savings. Action Electrical, of course, they are the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions, including projects, service, tag, and energy for both solar and EV. It's actionelectrical.net. As the NFL playoff begin on Saturday. 2 games Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then, of course, the Monday nighter. And we go out to Denver, where, of course, the Broncos will be taking on the Buffalo Bills, as Susie Warden joins us, sideline reporter for the Broncos. And, Susie, the most important question I have, will the Broncos be wearing their stellar unis that they wore this past weekend? Because they should.
The old school. Oh, I'm pointing the wrong one. Yeah, our the throwbacks. Oh, I wish. Yeah, those were only done for 2 times this year, for the Chiefs game and the Raiders game. They're so awesome, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
They're better. Like they're better than their current ones.
Amazing. And I love it though. They shoot everything in like old school film. The whole stadium is the old school logo. So it's really fun. These throwback games this year were so much fun, and they're clamoring here. They really want those uniforms all the time.
Oh God, I can see why. I just think it looks better.
Yeah.
Now, I think that, there was lots of people at the start of the year that thought the Broncos weren't going to be a playoff team. They weren't going to be that competitive. Lots of people were questioning Bo Nix. He had an unbelievable rookie season, man. Like right. Jaden Daniels had like even better, which is crazy. But I look at Bo Nix, his throwing ability, his running ability. It's gonna at least put some stress on the Buffalo defense. So from a Denver perspective, if they're gonna have success, what's the best way to attack this Bills defense?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, one of the things the Broncos need to do that they have struggled with doing all year is being able to make sure that they get that run game going. Although, as I'm looking at the stats for the Bills, pass defense, not so good. What is it? Their pass defense is 24th in the league. So I'm like, well, if Bo can make some connections to Cortland and some of the other wide receivers, that could be good for the Broncos offense. But getting that running game going, and I don't think a lot of teams expect much from the Broncos from a running point of view. And so, but if they can, and I did a pregame interview with Jaleel McLaughlin, who's had, he and Javonte have been back and forth. Javonte's got like 513 on the season. Jaleel has like 496 or so 499, something like that. So they've been kind of neck and neck. Bo Nix is our 3rd leading rusher, by the way, in case those were wondering. He's been able to use his feet quite a bit, but that's been one of the, I will say, criticisms of Sean Payton, is that sometimes the running game gets going in the first half and then just completely disappears in the second half. And people are like, why didn't you keep giving Jaleel the ball and give Javonte the ball? So I think if that can be consistent and they don't lose focus of what might work in the first half, assuming that things go well in the first half, because we've had some of those games where we've had like this great first half and all of a sudden things, unraveled a little bit in the second half. So playing a complete game and with that offense, and I think if Bo can throw and make connections, that he'll be in good shape against that defense.
Well, Mims has stepped up here and become a huge playmaker for the team. Like a big threat, used to just be a kick return guy, and they're like, no, this guy has got too much ability. He's a big play capability. And you talk about that pass defense, I got to think they might take a few deep shots potentially early to see if
I
they
hope
can
so.
hit something.
Yeah, he's looked really good. And, he can every once in a while, he'll run the ball too, which is great. Obviously he can do well on the return game too. And Marvin's one of my favorites. He's been my player that I've interviewed the last few games. He's only 2 years in the league. You would think he's about a 10-year vet. He's kind of an old soul. And so he speaks very eloquently. He's very smart, and it's just really, I'm happy for him that he's really come into a good role, not just as a return guy. He's made the Pro Bowl again as a return guy, but like you said, he can be out there and be a little sneaky and catch some of those passes every once in a while. And as you know, once a quarterback finds you and trusts you and you're in the right spot, then they might just go to you all the time. He's got that going with Cortland. That's very obvious. Cortland Sutton catches nearly everything that comes his way. We've seen Devon Vele step up recently, which has been good to see. Lil Jordan Humphrey every once in a while. So we've got some other guys in there. And then all of a sudden our tight ends will come out of nowhere. We see something from Nate Atkins or Adam Troutman. And that's kind of interesting to watch that too. And then Michael Burton, we got a fullback here, and he's been in the league 10 years. He's been in longer than anybody else in the entire team. Had a touchdown call back last Sunday against the Chiefs, which everybody was really hoping he would get one because he's just that workhorse that just goes in there, is always blocking, but every once in a while gets the rock and he's able to do something with it. So we've got the weapons. Nobody knows who any of these guys are except the name Bo Nix and maybe Cortland Sutton. So it's kind of fun to have a lot of these guys that are not household names, and they can pop up and make some plays.
Susie Wargen joins us talking the Broncos and the Bills. Now, on the other side, the Bills got a pretty good quarterback in Josh Allen.
I know.
And of course, are head-to-head for the MVP. And Allen's a threat with his arm and his legs, no question about it. But, the Bills don't have like that bona fide, guaranteed number one receiver where you say, okay, we got to lock him down. They've been able to throw to lots of different guys. Cook in the backfield has come up and played well. So you look at the Broncos defense, and how are they expecting the Bills to attack them, do you think?
So this defense is really fun, and 63 sacks on the year, most in the NFL. However, you're going up against an offense that has allowed the fewest number of sacks. Josh Allen's only gone down 14 times. So that's going to be a really interesting watch there to see if the linebackers and the linemen, I don't know how many guys we're up to now. I think 14, maybe 15 that have had at least one sack on the season. So it's been a variety of guys that have been able to get through with this Broncos D, but that's a little different for the Bills. So if they can get to Josh Allen, I think that's going to play a huge part in that. And, Josh is so dangerous. And I think here in Denver, we still feel a little snake bitten because the Broncos could have had Josh at, that number 5 pick. They took Bradley Chubb instead. And then Josh went 2 picks later. And there are still people, even though everybody here loves John Elway, he was the general manager at that time. And people are like, why did John miss on Josh? Why did that happen? So, and he went to Wyoming, which is just, an hour and a half up the road from where we are in Denver. So everybody here was very familiar with Josh Allen. So it stings that he has done so well in Buffalo when we could have had him. And then we'll wait and see what happens on Sunday to see how well he plays. He's played in 10 playoff games. He's done very well, and he's very experienced. He's been in now since 2018. So I think the threat that he plays is experience. We've got very much so like on offense, a lot of guys on defense. Nobody knows their name. Pat Surtain. You also know Nick Benito now because Nick's in the Pro Bowl. But the other guys, John Gruden calls them the anonymous Orange Crush because you don't know who they are. You don't know their names, and they're okay with that. They're like, you know what? We'll just make our presence known on the field. We don't care if they know our names. So hopefully they can do that on Sunday.
So I want to get your thoughts on the other matchups. Like, I don't give the Steelers much chance against the Ravens. Do you? And then what do you think about the Chargers and the Texans?
With the Steelers, again, we have a lot of experience with Russell Wilson here. And so we've got a lot of thoughts about Russ. And everybody likes Russ. There's nothing not to like about Russ. He's a likable guy. It's just hard to like what he does on the football field sometimes. And I think, what's the last 4 games? And especially the last one that they had, we just saw very much Denver Broncos vintage Russell Wilson. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm watching the Broncos the last 2 years with some of the things that happened. So yeah, I do not give the Steelers, I love Mike Tomlin, but I just don't think they can do it. I don't know that they can do it with Russ. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, though, I mean, holy cow, that dude, that was an interesting game. And we played them this year. He's unbelievable. I mean, he's just a Houdini. He can go everywhere. He can do everything. And he's just all over the place. So I think the Ravens have a really good chance. I mean, obviously, we're very familiar with the Chiefs. They're not playing this weekend, but if/when the Broncos win on Sunday, that's who we play next. So we'd have to go face a division rival once again.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is phenomenal to watch, no question. This season for the Broncos, I know that the internal expectations are obviously higher, but if you look in the people you talked to in that organization, did Bo Nix surprise them at how quickly he picked up the offense and was able to really command the offense?
I think if you ask Sean Payton, he'll say that he's not surprised because Sean handpicked Bo. So, you know what I mean? No, but I do think that everybody is pleasantly, surprised, really enjoying what they're getting out of Bo. We got a guy who is very mature, comes in at the age of 24. He's married. He doesn't have a posse of people around him, very grounded. The guy never swears. I mean, that's an anomaly in and of itself in the NFL world. And is just very in control. He's good with the media. He can throw out a little snark every once in a while, and it has like a little personality to him, which is fun. And he's also been a good leader, even at that age and being a rookie, which your quarterback is going to be, should be a leader anyway, but has come in, hasn't tried to take over the locker room or anything like that from maybe a Pat or a Cortland, but it's working all together. So that synergy is working, off the field. And then I think on the field, there were some growing pains early on. I mean, there were plenty of people that were like, why did we draft this guy? Blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden he starts to do well and everybody jumps on the bandwagon, which is what happens a lot of times. So 5.5, that was the over under when we started the season. So people were like, oh, I'd be happy if we got 5.5 wins. Well, now here we are at 10 and people are like, well, we need to go on and keep winning in the playoffs. Once you get that little bit of success, people want more. And I'm like, remember where we were back in August? We're like, let's just let him, kind of just settle into this, figure things out. We'll be okay if we get 5 or 6 wins. And now we're at 10. So, yeah, I mean, I think fans more than anything are surprised. But then with that, then they just started raising their expectations every time that the Broncos won a game. They're like, well, heck, all right, let's go. We got this guy now. Let's go.
Yeah, no, you need a quarterback to have any sort of success long-term in the NFL. It's just a fact. And I think for him to come in and develop as he has, like, I guess my last question for you, Susie, is do you believe, will they commit enough to the run on the game?
That's $1 million question, Jason. I mean, I would like to think so. The weather on Sunday, we're not supposed to have any snow. It's supposed to snow on Saturday. It's supposed to be, partly cloudy, high of 31. So I don't think there'll be anything to contend with as far as, the wind can always be a factor there at Highmark. But I think they have to, you need to really have that balanced game. And Sean Payton has done that in the first half of some games. And then we've, like I said, just seen it kind of disappear. So sometimes he'll say, we're committing to the run. I need to be better. After the game, he'll say, I need to be better about doing that. And we even saw, when TV zoomed in on his play sheet that one time and it said run. It's like, okay, did he need the reminder that we need to run it? So I hope so. I really, truly hope that there will be a commitment to that, because even though there's that really lopsided stat with, the pass defense for the Bills, you can't just pass. You got to be able to run the ball too, and try and have some kind of a balanced attack.
Susie, as always, great stuff. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend.
Been a while. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I betcha. There you go. That is Susie Wargin joining us. Broncos sideline reporter as the Broncos go into Buffalo, and they're obviously a pretty big underdog in that game, no question. And we'll see if they can get a win. Should be interesting. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and whew, my goodness, it is getting ugly in Pittsburgh. I'll update you next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Day or night, tasting just the right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit FemaleSuperLeague.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at The Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Spring Roll Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Cold, icy mornings, frozen windshield, snow in the forecast, and your vehicle won't start. You know what that means, Alberta. Winter is here. Don't get left out of the cold. Head to Napa Auto Parts today to gear up for the frosty months ahead. Winter won't wait, and neither should you. From premium batteries, starters, and alternators to high-quality wiper blades, antifreeze, and snow brushes, Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready and running. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or visit NapaCanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how. Looking for the perfect spot to unwind? Check out The Ridge Social Eatery St. Albert. The Ridge is a locally owned, upscale neighborhood restaurant offering unbeatable daily features. Open daily at 11:30. Craving something late? Check out their new late night menu from 8 till close. Tuesday is wing night. Come savor The Ridge's perfectly seasoned wings that always hit the spot. And why not pair those wings with a $4 draft pint? Welcoming atmosphere, friendly staff, good times. For more, visit theridgestantalbert.com or social media.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through a Thursday afternoon, and as expected, lots of goals, but not for the team you expected. The Edmonton Oilers are getting pumped 4-1 in the first period tonight by the Penguins. This is the third time this season the Penguins have scored 4 goals in the first period. They defeated Philadelphia 7-4 back in December 23rd. They defeated the Vancouver Canucks 5-4 when they scored 4 goals in the first period. Meanwhile, the Oilers, I think this might be the first game this year that they allowed 4. It is. They allowed 3. Remember when they got spanked 6-1 to Columbus back in October? That was an ugly game. And this first period, oh my goodness. It's like they forgot to cover the slot. Look at the goals. It's unbelievable. Hey, guys, let's just leave those guys wide open right in the low slot. Last goal, Connor O'Connor comes in right down the pipe on the left side, rips it, and it's hey, if you want Skinner to make a save, sure, maybe 1, but at best it would be 3-1 at best. So just not a good start for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I guess the one good news, Leon Draisaitl has 30th goal of the season. So legitimately on pace for 30 goals in 41 games from Hyman and McDavid. So that puts him on pace for 80 assists this year. Not bad. But the Oilers, we'll see if they can regroup in the second period, because this has been an ugly start. Ugly start. Hey, Gregor, how about Stu Skinner? He's one, if not the worst goalies in the league, no matter how many times the media tries to tell themselves otherwise. Craig and Red Deer. See, I love guys who wait until a guy. You're going to blame Stuart Skinner for this period, Craig? Honestly, I question your ability to analyze hockey then. I'll call a spade a spade. If you think Stu Skinner is the fault, and if you want to say he could have saved 1, sure, then it's 3-1. Look at their coverage on those plays. Awful. If you think he's going to make all those stops, you're just dreaming in Technicolor. It's not happening. It's just not. Stu Skinner's actually been really good since November. Stu Skinner makes $2.6 million. He's not supposed to be an all-star. He's not supposed to be a top-end player. He's not paid like one. But it's amazing. The Oilers play great. There's 15-3-1, but they have one bad period, and now Stu Skinner's terrible. It is the absolute worst analysis possible. Absolute worst. So, hey. And the Oilers, the worst part is this is a team they beat for fun for 4 years. I was as good as they were against Boston. And they were great. Everybody. Skinner. Oh, yeah, Craig, I didn't see you talk about Skinner. How many breakaway saves he make last game? I guess he's terrible, right? You say nothing when a guy plays well. That's the worst. Guys can never talk about when a player plays well, only when he plays bad. It's like the worst analysis. But the Oilers as a group, goaltending, penalty kill, power play, 5-on-5, everything was good against Boston. And tonight, it has been awful. The complete opposite. And did they a little too high in themselves? Maybe. We'll see, though. We'll see if they can bounce back, because, hey, it is Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh gives up a lot of goals, Connor Halley.
Yeah, Dave Molinari tweeting out there, Penguins beat reporter. The Penguins have only lost 2 games this week while holding a multi-goal lead. So it has happened.
Oh, that's pretty funny tweet, actually. They've only lost 2 games this week where they've had multi-goal lead. So, yeah, there you go. It doesn't look good, obviously, but you've got a team that's a pretty good offensive team against a team that gives up a lot. But the Oilers are going to have to tighten their chin straps a little bit. I don't know, maybe take some smelling salts and wake up, because that was brutal. A brutal period. But if you're trying to put it on one player, it's a comical analysis. Absolutely comical analysis. Right? So we'll kind of see where it goes. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I think they're going to put Hyman back with McDavid. Well, they're down 4-1. I think there's a pretty good chance that they will, for sure. Now let's get quickly. We had Jeff Merrick on the show earlier, Cons, and we'll catch up with that conversation with Jeff. The NHL, Jeff, and we're basically 2 months to the day for the NHL trade deadline, and there's 7 really good teams with over 50 points in the West, and Vancouver right now they're kind of plodding along mainly because they can't beat non-playoff teams. It's unreal. They've only won 12 of 26 games against non-playoff teams, and I look at them so that they put themselves in probably a tougher spot. But in the East, there's 6 teams, and then it is wide open. Boston, Montreal, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Columbus. The Rangers are still in the mix. Boston will be in there. When you look at the East, do you see one of those teams being willing to make a significant move before the deadline?
I think the Boston Bruins will try. I do still wonder, I had Don Waddell on the program yesterday, and, Columbus is fascinating. Columbus is we're all cheering for them emotionally, I think, given the season that they had and how the season started. I think people want good things to happen to Columbus sooner than later. I don't know that, given this recent success by Columbus, and I know games in hand with Ottawa, etc., but it was nice for Don Waddell to wake up yesterday and see his team in a wild card spot. I don't know if they're going to change course. I think this is still a rebuilding team, and as much as Don Waddell may say, hey, we're still open to signing Ivan Provorov, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Ivan Provorov is probably gone. I can see the Boston Bruins, because I don't think they want, this playoff situation to end for them. Things have gone really awry. I think there'll be a different team once Hampus Lindholm comes back and enters the mix again. Andrew Raycroft was on Morning Cup of Hockey 2 days ago, just breaking down exactly how much Hampus Lindholm means to this team. But it's funny too, because you look at the teams that you mentioned. I mean, generally we think of all these teams kind of as sellers. I think the Detroit Red Wings are probably looking to add. I'm sure Steve Yzerman and company, they're playing some good hockey under new head coach Todd McLellan. I'm sure they'd like to add and seek themselves in the playoff picture. I think we wonder about the Ottawa Senators, and would the Ottawa Senators look at moving a first overall draft pick to finally get themselves inside of a playoff picture? So I think there's a couple of teams here that'll probably make some swings, but still a lot of hockey and still a lot of separation, I think, still to come. The one thing that I would, if I can switch to the West really quickly, man, overtime losses will kill you when they start piling up.
Oh yeah.
And that was Vancouver's 10th.
Yeah.
Overtime loss. And if they don't get in, and I still think that Vancouver makes it in, but if they don't, how much are we going to look at these overtime losses and say, those are the points that you squandered. Those are the ones that you needed to pick up.
Well, especially when they've come against non-playoff teams, right? They've lost 7 games in overtime against /shootout against non-playoff teams. That's crushing them.
Yeah, it really is. And I think we're all wondering, the obvious question, not who gets moved, but do both get moved? That report from Elliott going back last Saturday to Hockey Night in Canada. I think we're all waiting on that one, and I don't think it'd be a surprise if both these players end up getting shipped out. Quinn Hughes is probably, because he's talked to both and tried to mend this fence, if it is at all mendable. Rick Tocchet certainly has as well. He seems to have kind of at various times thrown his hands up in the air here. So I think those are the 2 biggies I think that we're looking at. And then there's always the big surprise that no one sees coming. The team that says no, we're out, and end up making a big move. So still lots of hockey to play. Teams to separate themselves from each other, and we'll see where it goes. We're starting to see the beginnings now of teams getting ready for the playoffs and teams getting ready for trade deadline.
Are you a believer in the Capitals?
Funny question. So it's having that. It's funny. We just closed the show today talking about that, and I'm not saying that they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but is there for you, because there is for me, a 2006 Carolina Hurricanes vibe? It's a sore spot around Edmonton. 2006 Carolina Hurricanes vibe around the Washington Capitals. Because Carolina, as you can recall, like, hey, look, they had a good October. Good for them. Hey, look, they had a good November as well. And then you get into December 2006 and 2005 rather. And all of a sudden there's piling up all these wins. And it's becoming obvious that as the calendar flips to 2006, that Carolina's going to the playoffs and everything breaks their way and they end up winning the Stanley Cup. Zero expectations for the Carolina Hurricanes going into that season.
Yeah.
That was a weird season. Everybody was learning how to play again. Jonathan Chichu wins the Rocket Richard out of nowhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Weird things happened that year. I kind of got the same vibe from Washington. Like every single month that's gone by, Jason, I've said, oh, good for them. That's awesome. Oh, plucky team. They're not giving up. There's a lot of grit on that team.
Yeah.
And now I'm turning into, you know what? Maybe they're just legit a good team.
Oh, they are. Yeah, I like them a lot.
I do. And if they can get that Pierre-Luc Dubois that we've seen, like there were a couple of moments. There was like that game, that afternoon game against New Jersey about a month ago with Pierre-Luc Dubois, like beating out an icing to secure the win for Washington. Then there was a Pierre-Luc Dubois last night, snapping in two, mixing it up, going at Quinn Hughes. Like then there's that guy. Like if they're getting that Pierre-Luc Dubois, then I've got even more of a sort of soap and warm water feeling about these Washington Capitals.
Lastly, Jeff, the Edmonton Oilers, you know what, the stats, everything else. Do you think they need to add more grit and toughness to their lineup?
I certainly thought that as soon when Zadorov ran over the netminder the other night, and everyone did statue practice. I think that my instinct is no. What they need is help on the back end with someone moving the puck. And I think, you know, the toughness does get addressed when Evander Kane reemerges here for the Edmonton Oilers. Like I've always kind of like, I'm not sure where you're at right now with toughness in the game and toughness with teams. I've kind of always looked at toughness as being a luxury item because there's not that much of it around.
No, there isn't.
Right? Like go fight. I mean, you hear it every year, you know, GM's telling the scouts, go find me a Tom Wilson. Well, those guys aren't getting made, right? Like those, like no one's making Tom Wilsons. Like it's all skill, speed. These are the players that are being made. So there aren't those types of guys. And when you have one, you hold on to them because it's one of the rarest birds in the NHL. So I kind of have a weird thing about toughness that it's a luxury item. You have it, you hang on to it, and it's really, really hard to acquire. But mind you, every team loves it when they have it.
Oh, God.
There you go. That is Jeff Merrick from The Sheet. He joined Jason earlier on in the show. If you want to go check out the rest of that podcast, you can head over to jasongregor.com or wherever you get your podcast from, Apple, Google, Spotify. It'll be there. You can also check it on YouTube. It was the second segment of the show. So about 15, 20 minutes into the program, you can go give that a watch in its entirety. For the Edmonton Oilers, not a great start to this game. Yes, Leon Draisaitl did score his 30th of the season, but they trail the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-1 after 20 minutes. Once this game wraps up, we've got post-game coverage for you. Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson will be in the studio taking your calls and text to 1-833-401-1440. But that will do it for us here on the show. Big thank you to all of our guests today. We had Mark Spector on earlier. Also went out to Pittsburgh. We're joined by Matt Venzel, Jeff Merrick, Susie Wargen, talking to the Denver Broncos. If you missed anything, like I said, jasongregor.com. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have Craig Button on this show, Tyler Yaremchuk, Lorianne Munzer, Low Tide. Wanya will be in to co-host from 3 till 6. And should be a fun one as we will break down this Oilers game, however it does pan out. Thank you guys for tuning into the show today. Up next, it is Fox Sports Radio. And then once the Oilers and Penguins wrap up, we will have post-game coverage. Right now, we'll do a Sports 1440 update brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Head over to PlayAlberta.ca. Lots of money to be won. Use code word Gregor50. Good night.
The Sports 1440 update.
I am back with the Sports 1440 update. The Penguins lead the Oilers 4-1 after 20 minutes. Draisaitl won't go for Edmonton with his 30th of the season. Elsewhere, Stars lead the Flyers 2-0. Rangers up on the Devils 1-0. Bruins and Lightning are scoreless, and in Ottawa, Sens trail the Sabres 2-0. Midway through the first, Leafs have a 2-0 lead over the Hurricanes down in Raleigh. Later tonight, Blues host the Ducks, Aztec on the Wild, and the Islanders in Vegas. In the association, the Raptors and Cavs tied at 48 with 4 minutes remaining in the second quarter. You also have the Warriors leading the Pistons 48-35. Steph with 9 points there. And the Timberwolves have a 45-37 lead over the Magic in the second quarter. Later on, Jazz, Heat, Hawks, Suns, and the Grizz host the Hornets. Or the Rockets. Hornets and Lakers postponed due to the fires in Los Angeles. And college football playoff first quarter action right now. Notre Dame and Penn State are scoreless. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, Fox Sports Radio, and then we've got post-game coverage, Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.